Did you come out for air? Did you? Let's go again.
But they did. Like, people would just kiss for an hour.
Kissing's nice, isn't it?
I don't think so.
Do you not like kissing?
No, I'm not. It's not
Nobody
my
would like
point.
to kiss you with that big grizzly bear you have.
Yeah, but my point is that at what stage does that stop in
Kissing?
your life? Yeah.
When you get married.
You mean?
Let's not go there, right? They'll be lining me up for a fall.
It is people would just snog for hours.
Yeah.
In the clubs. Like, at what stage do you go, I'm not doing that anymore? And what were you doing it for? What were you thinking?
What are you asking me all these questions
I don't know.
for?
It's just an observation. I'm not saying you. I'm not asking you.
Did you ever do a slow set?
Of course.
Did you?
Mm.
Aye. I mind just going around the grill and there'd be 2 slow sets, and if you didn't have the courage to ask somebody out, you always had the last one. Do you know that was late at night?
The last one?
Yeah, there was 2 ones. Do you know, one a bit early in the night, and then there was one later
2
on.
girls?
The night. No, 2 slow sets.
Oh, right, okay.
2 times we did 2 sets of slow songs.
Didn't know where you were going with that.
And I wouldn't, to build up the courage. Were you very confident with girls?
No, I wasn't interested in any of that crack.
What do you mean, slow sets?
Yeah, slow sets, going up to people, very shy.
I was very shy too.
No, very
Look
shy.
at us now, 2 motor wives.
But still very shy.
Still very shy, yeah.
Anyway,
Nothing
thanks
wrong
for
with
a
being
trip
shy.
down memory lane.
Shy's okay.
No, shy's cool. Thanks, Gooch.
All
See
right.
you tomorrow morning
Chat
for
to
the
you.
actual Friday. Okay, it is Thursday's 9 till noon show. And let's get a news update now at 9 and cross over to Michaela Clark.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. Firefighters in Donegal have warned that cuts to resources will have catastrophic consequences. A decision taken by senior management has resulted in fewer personnel and a second fire tender being removed. The Donegal Firefighters Association says Letterkenny Fire Station is operating at critically unsafe staffing levels, while the ability to tackle large-scale fires, road traffic collisions and life-threatening emergencies has been gravely compromised with the removal of the fire appliance. Cahirlock of the Letterkenny Milford Municipal District, Councillor Jerry McMonigal, says firefighters deserve better than the disrespect he says has been shown to them. He's calling on senior fire service management to clarify the decision taken to reduce resources and what implication it will have on public safety.
I think it's incumbent on the management to explain, not just to the firefighters, but particularly to the firefighters, but to the wider community, why they're making these changes, how they will improve the fire service, because the people who are currently implementing and on a daily basis, 24/7, working in the fire service are feeling really concerned about these moves, and I think it's a detrimental step, and it will put the safety of our communities in jeopardy.
The full statement from the Donegal Firefighters Association is available on our website highlandradio.com. The jury in the trial of a man and woman accused of murdering a man in Donegal and throwing his body off Slieve League is set to resume this morning. Alan Vile of Drummonu Killybegs and Nikita Burns of Carrick Donegal deny murdering 66-year-old Robert Wilkin in June 2023. It's the prosecution's case that after being beaten with a rock, the pair disposed of his body by throwing him off the cliffs. Today marks the 3rd day of deliberations. There's calls for Ireland's bail system to be reformed. Suspects for over 40,000 crimes are currently out on bail, according to figures obtained by Sinn Féin. That's an increase of almost 5,000 since 2022. Fine Gael MEP Regina Doherty believes a public inquiry is needed.
And even our judges are saying that the way we're implementing our bail system, so that when somebody breaks their bail conditions and they're not brought back before the judge, so therefore they've broken the deal that they did with the court, and now they should be in prison to protect the ordinary, honest-to-goodness, decent, hard-working, law-abiding citizen in the country. That's not happening.
A 32-year-old man is due in court today following the seizure of a quantity of herbal cannabis, cocaine and diazepam tablets in Derry. They're estimated to have a street value of £3,500. He's been charged with a number of offences, including possession and intent to supply. Another 32-year-old man, also arrested as part of the investigation, has been released on police bail pending further inquiries. Weather now, some bright or mild sunny spells this morning. Outbreaks of rain and drizzle moving in later with highest temperatures of 11 to 14 degrees. That's all from Highland Radio News for now. We'll be back with news again at 10 o'clock. Until then, good morning.
Hey gal, it's me, future you. Can't stay long, sunset paddleboarding, but just wanted to thank you for switching to that Energia Smart Plan. The savings we've made tracking our energy usage, absolute game changer. Oh, and I should tell you about this guy, Pablo, but you'll find out for yourself soon enough.
Save up to 33% with an Energia Smart Plan and get energy insights to help you manage your usage. Future you will thank you. Switch now at energia.ie or call us on 0818 300 701. Energia. Think of the possibilities. Energia Smart Data Plan. EAB €1,166. Standing charge PSO levy apply. Savings based on standard electricity unit rates. Full details including associated terms and conditions at energia.ie.
And now, it's time for the talk of the Northwest. The 9 to Noon Show with Greg Hughes on Highland Radio.
Hello, good morning to you. You're very welcome along to Thursday's edition of the 9 till Noon Show. It's 4 minutes past 9 on this, the 6th of March. I do hope you're very well indeed, and we look forward to keeping you occupied and entertained, hopefully for the next 3 hours, and we want you to keep us informed of your views and anything you think we should be talking about. WhatsApps and texts come into us via those familiar numbers 086 60 25,000. We'd love to hear from you as well if you're outside the Republic. 0035386 60 25,000. If you want to give us a call, it's 07491 25,000. And also emails come into us via comments at highlandradio.com. So if you are listening to the podcast or indeed the repeat overnight, feel free to email if there's something that pops up that you want to share an opinion on. And of course, you can watch the show on our YouTube channel, Highland Radio Ireland. That's on your mobile app, but also on your smart TV or your Fire Stick if you're at home or in the kitchen or wherever you happen to be. And we're across Facebook and on the X platform as well. And a lot of our guests today are in studio, and you can see most of our guests anyway via joining us via video, but also when they're in studio. And today's just one of those days where there's lots of people calling in, which is great. Yesterday was the same, actually. Right, the Tyrconnell Tribune this morning. The tragic events of last Friday night united a community in grief as the first of 2 young people killed in a road crash in Baltony were laid to rest in Gortahawk on Wednesday morning. Jamie Diver, who was in his early 20s, was remembered as having a passion for cars and the will to help others when he could. Father Donnacha O'Boyle also remembered the late Sean Martin McClafferty, who will be laid to rest today, and his family, as well as Josh Scanlon and Dara Lynch, who were also seriously injured in the single vehicle collision. And you would have heard from contact to the programme of the family of one of those injured to keep them in your prayers and thoughts, please. The parish priest highlighted that young people of any community are its greatest riches as it represents the future, and this must be protected as life can be so fragile. On to the Donegal news this morning, and a distraught mother of a boy with a complex condition has spoken of how her family has been left in limbo after being told her son has no place in Little Angel's special school in Letterkenny for September. Aoife Dorian and her family are among 9 Donegal families who've been informed by the Special Education Needs Organiser that despite being directed to send their children to Little Angels, the schools cannot accommodate them. The parents have launched a Facebook campaign called Don't Forget Our Little Angels for September 2025 to highlight the matter in December. The Donegal News first revealed concerns had emerged that the new state of the art Little Angels School in Letterkenny will not have enough classrooms to meet demand when it opens shortly. And they've referenced 9 families here. It could be actually up to 36 families and 36 young people without a place at that school. On to the Derry news this morning, and the Western Health and Social Care Trust has been accused of introducing major changes in the provision of domiciliary care in Derry without prior consultation or agreement with service users or their carers. On to the Nationals this morning, and you heard Michaela reference this in the news. Suspects in more than 40,000 crimes were out on bail awaiting trial last year. Shocking new figures have revealed. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I might be somewhat naive, and in fact, I'm sure I am. I wouldn't have realised there was that many people out on bail. To be honest with you, 40,000 people, that's a massive amount. Taoiseach Micheál Martin vowed yesterday to reform bail laws after the figures were revealed in the Dáil, but he cautioned that there are legal issues surrounding the presumption of innocence. Figures provided to Sinn Féin Justice spokesperson Matt Carthy revealed there were 114,655 incidents over the past 3 years where crimes were committed in cases where suspects were on bail. Again, these figures are remarkable. 114,000 crimes committed by the 40,000 plus people that are on bail. Obviously repeat offenders, but again, figures I just wouldn't have made up. The 40,348 instances last year represents 110 suspected crimes each day by individuals who were out on bail. And in Conversation, the Taoiseach admitted the figures are huge and said the public are intolerant of those who engage in repeated criminal offences. But what's one of the root causes? Maybe the answer is on the front of the Irish Times. Overcrowded prisons. There's an overcrowded crisis as prisons are full. Prison overcrowding is at another crisis point, with all secure jails having reached or exceeded capacity for the first time. The number of male prisoners in Mountjoy Prison, Dublin, has this week grown to 1,000 for the first time. It's understood that more than 100 prisoners were sleeping on the floors of Mountjoy on Tuesday night when numbers reached a record 1,000. But is this about sentencing? Because, you know, there's another case today where someone had 3,000 child abuse images in their possession. 3,000. And I won't go into details, but you can imagine what had to happen to these children for those images to be produced. Absolutely horrendous. And they walk out on bail. And then you get people who are involved in a financial crime, for an example, you know, maybe defrauding the state of, you know, €60,000. There's one lady been locked up for that. And I'm not sort of saying what is right or what's wrong, but surely that would be a better custodial sentence with rehabilitation on the outside, and send the person barely even worthy of that title, with 3,000 child abuse images in their possession, send them to jail. You know, let's curate who's in prison and for what, and send the people that should be there to prison, and those that arguably maybe could be rehabilitated on the outside, leave them on the outside. But it doesn't seem to be the case. It seems to be at the whim of certain judges as well. The women's wing of Limerick Prison was the most overcrowded at 163% capacity. Some 91 women were on Tuesday night being housed in the facility with a bed capacity of 56. On to the Irish Independent now, and very hard to escape the geopolitical international situation. I'm trying not to come out with it every single day, but there's very little in the papers besides this. French President Emmanuel Macron has said he will enter talks on using France's nuclear capabilities to defend European allies. The French leader gave a grave address to the nation last night in which he warned that Russia was at threat for all of Europe. He said Paris is open to discussing an extension of France's nuclear umbrella to its European partners. France and the UK are Europe's only two nuclear powers. In his televised, I didn't realise Germany didn't have any nuclear capability. In his televised speech, Mr. Macron also said France would have to spend more on defence and would continue to help Ukraine. He acknowledged voters' concerns over Russia and over the new US administration upending of the international order. My eyes are a little bit tired this morning. Not much sleep last night, not going to lie to you. Thank you very much, Hudson. Also, too, yesterday or last night, and it's not in the papers today, remarkable comments from President Donald Trump as it relates to Gaza. You know, people have kind of argued whether or not genocide has happened in Gaza at the hands of the Israelis, backed by the likes of the US and others. But he said yesterday in a statement that Hamas needs to release all of its hostages and release the bodies of those that were killed or have been killed since October 7th of last year. It was the year before last. And a lot of people say, well, you know, that's him talking tough. That's Donald Trump shooting from the hip, blah, 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 blah. But what he then went on to say is that if it's not done, he's going to give Israel everything it needs to finish the job. And he directed that not just at Hamas, but at Gazans as well. So he effectively said, unless Hamas, which is estimated to be 20 or 30,000 potentially in a population of 1 million plus, what he effectively said is if these hostages are not, or the remains of the hostages are not offered up, that Gaza will be wiped out. Not just Hamas, but all of Gaza, women, children. Which is a remarkable intervention. And he's very powerful in what he has to say if you're Ukraine or if you are Gaza or Palestine, but not the same if you're Israel or Russia. You know, square that circle. Why is all the big talk against those that are arguably being oppressed? The Irish Farmers Journal this morning, anger is mounting among farmers who fear They'll be hit by a raft of changes to farming practices on peat soils. Tensions between farm organisations and the Department of Agriculture over possible new rules for farmers on peatland is rising, with the INHFA protesting in Dublin on Tuesday and the IFA calling an emergency meeting in Athlone tonight. Minister for Agriculture Martin Hayden and the department have sought to downplay the importance of a recent meeting on re-wetting and reducing management intensity of 80,000 hectare from which farmers were excluded. Separately, 32,000 farmers on peatland are to be impacted by GAC 2, which will see restrictions around drainage and ploughing. I mean, to be a farmer nowadays dealing with all of these, what do you call it when they shorten words up to letters? You know, I can't remember what that's called again. But anyway, to try and, to do with peatland or re-wetting or higher land, lower land, sheep, cows, you'd have to be the proverbial brain surgeon, wouldn't you, to keep track of all of that? I'm sure you do out there in the farming community. I wouldn't fancy it. On to the Irish Daily Star this morning, and a young man who threatened to kill a postmaster and his wife after he arrived late to claim his social welfare payment has been jailed for 10 months. Philip Dodu appeared at Letterkenny District Court charged with a number of offences. The court heard how he arrived at the post office on Main Street in Dunloe on December 20th last year and caused a scene. You'll have seen the footage, I'd imagine, unless you didn't watch it. It was certainly spread so far and wide, everyone would have had access to it. And this footage was widely circulated on social media. Dodu, 23, can be seen in this footage and heard threatening staff before storming out of the building. He was later arrested by Gardaí and has been in custody in Castlereagh prison since the incident. Sergeant Jim Collins told how Dodu had arrived at the post office, and while queuing, he became agitated and threatened to kill the local postmaster and his wife who were working at the premises. 10 months he's been sentenced to. The last 3 months have been suspended and backdated. He backdated the sentence as well to when the accused man went into prison on December 20th, meaning he'll still have about 4 months to serve following that court case. Right, the Sun this morning, almost 400,000 of us, our households, are in arrears on their gas and electricity bills. Government officials have warned. These figures were out 2 or 3 weeks ago, but anyway. And they insist new targeted supports are needed to help pay them. It comes as 1 in 4 households are in arrears on gas bills and 1 in 10 on electricity. The Department of Environment has warned the new Energy Minister, Darragh O'Brien, about the number of people in need of help as prices remain too high. A briefing document sent to the Minister claims that the average annual electricity bill for a household in Ireland is $1,179, with the average annual gas bill $1,503. It also said Irish electricity prices are 61% higher now than they were in December 2020, while gas prices are an incredible 90% higher. Officials warned 230,000 electricity customers are in arrears on their bills, representing around 10% of the market. So they're saying that targeted supports will be required to provide for those least able to pay, to reduce the number of customers in arrears and ensure that the figures do not grow further. And this is a conversation we've had on this show a number of times. It was off the back of some comments from senior government officials saying that electricity credits and what have you weren't going to feature in the next budget. But I think most people would be of the view that maybe universal credits or assistance is not required, because there's no point giving money to people that don't need it, because then it's not spent on what you're trying to address, is it? Make sure it goes to those, and they have a list of the customers that are most struggling, to try and give them some break from the pressures of life. Where would the money come? Well, it could come from the government recouping some of the money it overspent. The state paid out over €100 million in social welfare overpayments during the COVID pandemic. Now a special unit in the Department of Social Protection is trying to recover the cash with the help from revenue commissioners. The minister in charge, Darragh O'Leary, said overpayments occur when a person provides false or misleading information in their application or through error on the part of either the claimant or the department. Those who were overpaid had a liability to repay the money that they weren't entitled to. Some 880,000 people received at least one payment during the pandemic. Many of us still have bills that are sitting there with revenue that you have to pay back. I didn't ask for it. Did I even apply for it? And now I've got this bill for €2,000 or €3,000 that they're chipping away at. But anyway, 086 60 25,000. That's the WhatsApp or text number if there's anything there that you wish to comment on.
Daily newspapers are courtesy of Cosgrove, Centra and Diner, Mountaintop, Letterkenny.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, with monster loans available up to €60,000 for all occasions. Visit letterkennycu.ie.
Anger over states' re-wetting plans intensifies. In this week's Irish Farmers Journal, we look at why farmers are furious over peatland proposals. GAA seeks farmland nationwide for solar farms. Agricultural tax reliefs are back in the spotlight. Department set to clamp down on map acres. Find what price you'll need for grass cattle to break even this autumn. Latest on the ICBF Pedigree Society's row inside our special suckler focus. And why planning permission can be harder to get on land with road frontage. All inside this week's Irish Farmers Journal.
Atlantic Travel, Letterkenny, award-winning travel experts. Sail the Sicilian coastline, dive the Maldives, tour Riacan and Tuscan vineyards, stroll the shores of Lake Garda or the streets of Santorini. Indulge the senses, savor new flavors, embrace warm welcomes, smiling faces and balmy sunsets. Escape with atlantictravel.ie. Book today.
Discover Centra Simple Savers, your go-to for great everyday value. Like Kit Kat 2 finger bars 9-pack, $1.50. Lions tea bags 80-pack, €2. And selected Monster energy drinks 4-can packs, $3.50 each plus deposit. Enjoy easy, simple prices weekly on your favourite products. Centra. Live every day.
Want a new car? Think Kia. Call Heron Auto Donegal Town on 074 9722 555. We're excited to offer a fantastic selection of self-charge and plug-in hybrid cars, along with petrol and electric cars. With finance rates starting from an incredible 0% APR and a 7-year warranty, you can drive away today with peace of mind. Call Heron Auto to find your perfect vehicle and experience our commitment to excellence. Drive with confidence. Drive with Heron Auto Donegal Town.
Highland Radio Time Checks brought to you by EirGrid, the operator and developer of Ireland's electricity grid. EirGrid, powering up communities, powering up Ireland. The time is?
The time now, 21 minutes past 9. We welcome on to the programme Minister Neil Richmond, Minister of State in the Department of Foreign Affairs. Good morning to you. Thanks so much for your time again.
Pleasure to be with you, Greg.
What is the situation as it relates to, passport services, passport waiting times and what have you? I haven't heard many complaints, so normally you don't hear praise, so things must be middling at the moment. Are they, Minister?
I think things are going exceptionally well, but we're taking this opportunity to make sure they go well and to make sure everything is as easy as possible for people. So why I really want to join with you this morning is to the people in Donegal and surrounds to please make the appeal that if they're booking a trip at this time of year, like lots of people are, perhaps a summer holiday, perhaps to visit family abroad, perhaps a really important business trip, something people have been saving up for, before you do anything, check your passport. Just make sure it's in date. If it's expired, the online passport renewal system can get a passport turned around in about 24 or 48 hours. It's a rapid service. It's night and day compared to what it was. But the biggest issue that'll come into my office or Mickey Bradley or Manus Boyle's office or anyone else is the person who they've got the passport out of the drawer or out of the safe box they might have in the wardrobe the night before going on that family holiday, and they say that their son or daughter or granny's passport or whoever it may be is out of date, and they've spent all this money on that big holiday, once in a lifetime, well deserved, well earned, and all of a sudden there's panic. We need a passport. And next thing they're hurtling down to Dublin to queue up all day and spend an awful lot of money to get an emergency passport, or else they're sacrificing the holiday. Whereas now, if they just take 20 seconds, 30 seconds to make sure all the passports in date, they're not going to expire in the next 6 months. If they are, get a renewal in, we'll get it turned around as quick as possible.
Yeah, you have to make sure your passport's well in date as well too, isn't it? I mean, it can be, if depending on where you're going for how long and how long's left on your passport, that could be complicated as well.
Absolutely. If you're going to a country that perhaps requires a visa that's outside the EU, they'll be very, very stern on a passport. Certain airlines will also be quite strict. But look, Greg, we've 500 people working in the passport office in Balbriggan. Last year, they processed 1 million passports. It's going exceptionally well. A lot of resources being put into new online systems. Everyone can apply online now. So the secondary message is not only check your passport, but do it. If you need to renew it, do it online. It's the fastest, most efficient way. It eliminates any sort of human error.
I've been one, I'm sure, of many, many people that have been caught out in getting a child's passport. Is there any chance that the system could be reviewed? As far as I'm aware and understand it now, if I go, say, for instance, to get documents signed at a Garda station, that guard has to be contacted by the passport office, and on a couple of occasions now, unfortunately, I went to one station that wasn't 24 hours, but also the second station, the Garda in question just happened to be going on annual leave, and I wasn't aware of that. It seems a wee bit outdated and antiquated way of doing things, and it catches an awful lot of people out in a system that otherwise seems to be working quite well, Neil.
Yeah, like children's passports are different, Greg, to be quite honest, particularly new passport applications. They do take longer, and there is an awful lot of duty of care put in because, to be quite frank, and people mightn't like to hear it, that's where the greatest risk is. The greatest risk of forgery, of course, but most importantly, human trafficking, and when there might be a dispute over the custody of a child and someone's trying to spirit a child. And I don't say this to dramatise it, but this has happened. This is why the systems are quite a little bit more onerous for new passport applications for children. But I take your point absolutely in relation to cards. The system is always under constant review. We want to have that balance. And it is a tricky balance to make sure that it is efficient, fit for purpose, and it isn't antiquated, but equally that we have those checks and balances to protect our most precious commodity, which is, of course, children.
You talked of 1 million plus passports. 120,000 of those passports were issued in Northern Ireland last year. As long as I've been doing this job, there have been calls for a passport office in Northern Ireland. Is that anything that you'd be interested in exploring? And if not, why not?
Well, it's certainly something that is always under review. We obviously have the main public passport office in Dublin. We have one in Cork as well, and there was discussions in relation to having one in Sligo. But I think what we instead are really looking to do, and will be more efficient, is moving, which we have done in the last 18 months, moving a lot more services online. So rather than having to go to the passport office, to be quite frank, Greg, we don't want anyone to ever have to need to go to the passport office. That's for emergencies. That's for the family member who perhaps is gravely ill and it's a rush to get there, or it's a medical thing. That's where we want to get it to. So we feel that we're constantly investing in online systems to make it as efficient as possible. I had a colleague living in Derry who applied for their passport last Thursday, landed in the post on Monday.
One other question, if you don't mind, before we on. You are Minister of State in the Department of Foreign Affairs too, which is a wide-ranging office. Just curious as to your views on comments from President Donald Trump overnight, where he effectively said, unless I'm misreading what he said, that all Gazans are at risk if Hamas doesn't offer up the bodies of hostages or even those that are living. He said that they've been warned. All of Gaza is being warned that if that doesn't happen, if Hamas do not do that, that he will give Israel everything it needs to finish the job of all Gazans. Now, he wasn't specific to Hamas in some of those remarks. Just in your with your portfolio as Minister at the Department of Foreign Affairs, what's your view on his comments there?
Yeah, I'll say two things to that, Greg. Firstly, it feels like every morning I wake up, but it is literally every morning I wake up and there's a new push notification from a comment from President Trump in relation to the situation in the Middle East and Ukraine. And it's very important not to overreact or react to every comment, but certainly what we've seen in this conflict in the Middle East, and the second point I make is, the Israelis have been completely, over the top in terms of their response to what was horrific events on October 7th. But from my point of view as a Minister of Department of Affairs, we're quite clear. We have a fragile ceasefire at the moment that the US, of all people, and including the Trump administration, played a big role in this. They're actually the guarantors of peace in this current stage of the escalation. Absolutely agree. All hostages need to be released now. Bodies need to be returned as well. But we need to stop the violence. And what I really want to see from an Irish government point of view is we have tons and tons of humanitarian aid from Ireland in trucks, stuck on the Jordanian border looking to get into Gaza. Let's focus on actually getting the aid into people who are starving. When I talk about humanitarian aid, these are food parcels and tents. It's not rockets and missiles. Let's worry about the ordinary Gazan people in that regard first and foremost.
Yeah, well, I suppose that's what I was doing in asking the question when you have someone with the power that he has, effectively, warning an entire collection of people that they will be punished for the actions of Hamas. It's just next level stuff, Neil, that we wouldn't be familiar with.
No, it's grossly unsettling, Greg, I'll be quite honest. And it's not rhetoric that, to be honest, is new to this conflict. We have heard this from the Israeli Defense Minister, a number of members of the Knesset, and what we'd call the far more hawkish elements of what is a pretty hawkish government in Tel Aviv at the moment. To hear it from the most powerful man in the world is deeply unsettling, and I think it's utterly counterproductive. But this is Trumpian politics 101. It's the bold, brash, slightly nauseating statement in one regard to try and force the agenda in his direction to achieve something else. So what I really do want to see, I do agree with President Trump. I want to see the hostages released. I want to see the bodies returned. I don't want to see any of those victorious ceremonies that Hamas fighters stood over Israeli bodies a couple of weeks ago. But equally, the violence has to stop. The threat of violence has to stop. The people of Gaza need humanitarian aid, and let's try and focus on that rather than ratcheting up tensions in what is an already febrile atmosphere.
And very finally, and I'm not ambushing you on these questions, I know you're right across these issues. The last issue, is just the triple lock. We're getting a lot of contact from people very concerned about the removal of part of that, and also the desire for them to have a say on any changes to the triple lock. Are you sympathetic to those views? Do you share those views?
Well, I don't share the views, and my view on the triple lock has been consistent for 20 years. I think it's archaic, I think it's out of date, and I think I do want to have a reasonable, rational debate on the triple lock and on the importance of updating it. We didn't see this in terms of Deputy Pearse Doherty's contributions on Tuesday. He demanded a referendum on neutrality, just like People Profit did. We are not a neutral country. We're part of the European Union. We have allies. But we are military neutral. And the triple lock, as it stands, let's talk about the facts, what it is. At the moment, if we want to send more than 12 Irish peacekeepers, we tried to send more than 12 Irish members of Defence Forces to train Ukrainians to clear landmines. We couldn't, because not only do we need a vote at all, absolutely agree with retaining that, we need the sanction of our government, absolutely. But we also need a UN resolution. A UN resolution can be vetoed by any one of the 5 permanent members of the Security Council.
But is it not the UN system is it not the UN system that needs to change? Because of course, in the example that you gave, it doesn't feel right. Okay, but at the same time, particularly for soldiers and families of soldiers, there is a bit of oversight then as to the type of operations we can engage in under the UN banner, if you know what I mean. Whereas you remove that, and then you know yourself, Neil. It takes government approval. That's easy done around the cabinet table, and then a vote in the Dáil is easy achieved when you've got a big majority. Do you know what I mean? So it means that it feels like whatever happens with our soldiers, it's just the will of the government of the time.
Well, it's actually a democratic demonstration. We have, yes, this government has a big majority in the Dáil because the majority of Irish people elected or indeed re-elected this government. My party's manifesto made it very clear that we were going to remove the triple lock. People knew what they were voting for. This isn't a surprise. It's in the programme for government. We had consultations around the country only a number of years ago. We've been talking about this for a while, but I think it's really, really important. We're not detaching ourselves from the United Nations. I was in the UN in Geneva all last Tuesday. There are many other countries, neutral and non-neutral, who engage in peacekeeping missions. But let's be quite frank, the UN does need reform, absolutely, and playing an active part in it. But we haven't had a peacekeeping mission without a UN mandate since 2014. And in that time, there has been a number of EU-led missions that Ireland has been a part of, K4 policing mission in Bosnia, which we weren't able to take part in because the mandate wasn't renewed by the UN, even though it was EU-led. Equally, 2 UN operations in the Mediterranean looking to stop, on one hand, people smuggling, on the other hand, drug smuggling. We couldn't participate then because Russia vetoed them and it never made it to the Security Council. So I think we need to detach. This isn't about abandoning the UN. We will always be committed to the United Nations system. Irish soldiers will continue to serve under the blue helmets and with great distinction in the Golan Heights and elsewhere. But we fundamentally believe that this is about national sovereignty. When the people of Ireland make a democratic decision, we need to trust them. People elect a government. They elect a government with clear eyes at what exactly we said we were going to do.
But in
I'm
electing,
happy
I
to
get
have
you,
that
Minister. I get
conversation.
you, but and I understand exactly what you're saying. But also, electing a government, it's not a blank check either. And I think the actions of any government, as best as it can, should reflect the will of its people.
Of course not, but let's be quite clear, Greg. We sought a mandate. We were quite clear on a number of things, including the triple lock. It was in our manifesto. It's in the programme for government. This is what democracy is. But also, we're not trying to force anything through here. What's happened this week? A memo was brought to Cabinet with draft heads of legislation. That is now going to go to the relevant Oireachtas Committee of our sovereign parliament for pre-legislative scrutiny. It will take as long as it needs. We're not railroading anything through. We're not silencing democratic voices. We're more than happy to engage. But what we've seen initially is a response from the opposition that is downright opposed to this, which is fine. They're entitled to oppose it. But yes, they're engaging in scare tactics and deliberate misinformation. Let's talk about the facts, what we're trying to do, not that scare people. Ultimately, we want to get down to the business of making sure that we have a sovereign foreign policy and we're not at the will of Russia, China, or indeed Trump's America.
Okay, listen, thanks for covering those issues with me, Minister Neil Richmond. Take care. Thank you. And the whole purpose of the original conversation there from the Minister of State in the Department of Foreign Affairs is make sure your passport's in date. Go in and find it first. You know, often people think it's in a suitcase or it's in a drawer and they go and look for it and it's not there. Find it and make sure that it is in date, especially if you hope to get away at Easter or into the summer, because I know people that have got caught out by this very recently. It's very easy done because we've so much to be getting on with and thinking about, etc., etc.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages from €40,000 to €600,000 with no hidden fees or transaction charges. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
Say hello to the new Seat Leon. I could tell you that our iconic hatchback has never looked sportier thanks to its bold exterior and full LED headlights. Or I could wow you with its advanced technology like adaptive cruise control, wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. But what I really want to talk about is its power. Choose from petrol, diesel or the next generation of plug-in hybrid, offering over 100 kilometres of electric-only driving range, giving you the best of both worlds. The new Seat Leon. Visit seat.ie for our latest offers.
Your local Seat dealer is DMG Motors, Clar Road, Donegal Town. Telephone 074 9721 396.
Let's stay in and watch a film.
Don't forget to switch the lights off.
Will you pop the kettle on? It's freezing.
Switching things on and off this winter and searching for ways to save? Here's a switch that can really help. Sign up to one of our great value smart meter plans and save up to 30%. Visit electricireland.ie. EAB €1,199 based on 12-month home electric plus SST saver electricity. Discounted unit rates with online billing, direct debit and VAT. Smart meter required. Subject to change. T's and C's apply.
Milford Tiles, Milford Retail Park. Tiles, bathware and wood flooring. The best quality and value in the Northwest. Fully stocked and ready to go. Fitters and delivery available. 10% off for mica affected customers. Don't forget to ask about our 5-day bathroom fit out. Call Milford Tiles on 083 091 0707.
For all your training needs, Northwest Forestry Services Training Department Ballybuffet offer a wide range of courses from training bodies such as NPTC City and Guilds, QQI, LADRA and ABA International. Courses include all land-based services such as chainsaw, tree climbing and rescue, pesticides, working in heights and ATV training. Other courses offered include first aid responder, manual handling and building safety, to name but a few. For a full list of training courses and availability, contact Northwest Northwest Forestry Services Ballybuffet on 074 91 32033.
Don't miss the Patrick Feeney Country Music Weekend at the Abbey Hotel, Donegal Town this Friday, Saturday and Sunday, featuring Jimmy Buckley, Conor O'Donnell, Brendan German, Trevor Moyles and David James. 3 nights of top-class country music at the Patrick Feeney Country Music Weekend this Friday, Saturday and Sunday at the Abbey Hotel, Donegal Town.
Okay, you're welcome back to the 9 till noon show. And in studio with me now is Highland Radio's Jimmy Stafford, who is also now the president of the Letterkenny Chamber for a second time. Congratulations, Jimmy. How are you getting on?
Good morning, Greg. Yeah, delighted. Yeah, absolutely delighted to take up the role yesterday from our AGM. So yeah, busy year ahead.
It is. Is a year too short? Because it seems like no time at all since Claire was sitting there opposite me, and it is an opportunity to go in and continue the work, but also maybe to introduce, maybe you might have ideas or things. A year seems a short enough term. 2 would be good.
Well, speaking on behalf of Claire, I can tell you a year is long enough, because it comes to that point at the
I know
at
it's
the last,
busy, but
yeah, it is. It's really busy, and you do become to a point at the end where you've done it, and it's time to pass the mantle. It is. It's a long year, but it's a great year, and it's a busy year. So I think I'd say on my behalf and Claire's behalf, I'd say a year is plenty, unless the board want to change that and somebody else wants to take. But yeah, it's a plenty for a year, and you get loads in. I think you go out on a high as well, Greg. You look at Claire yesterday, and now she could just go home last night and pass the chain, as the fella said. And,
that's right.
And move on.
I insisted last year she wore the chain, but you haven't got yours on.
I have it here.
We might get it on before the end of the show. The last time you were president of the Chamber was around COVID time, right? Which was very different for lots of reasons. How did the pandemic affect your role as president at that time?
It was funny, Greg. I was saying to you before we came on, 5 years ago, I think yesterday, that it was all announced and we went into that dreaded lockdown. I remember that call, Tony Forrester called me and said, Jimmy, what are we going to do? And I says, well, okay, we have 2 choices. One is we bury our heads in the sand, or 2, we just go out and we just be positive as much as we can. And that's what we did, Greg. And it was a very different presidency for me. Like, I had no events, nothing, but everything was online. And one of the memories I have was, I remember RT had said, and I was up here with you in February when it was upon January, and then RT said, will we do a thing, Eileen Magner? And they weren't allowed inside a building, so we had to do an emergency Zoom meeting, a board meeting, and I sat outside the Radisson. I still have that picture at a table with my laptop, and I'll just remember that picture forever. I just thought, oh God, I'm never going to do this again, and that was the abiding memory. But when you look back, Greg, it was a year, I suppose, in some ways of positivity. If you remember the posters we had up in the windows of businesses, and we'll be back soon. And I think we were the first. It's Letterkenny and Donegal, and across Donegal we put up these posters and around the towns to say we will be open soon. And I think that was, and we got through it, Well,
a lot of businesses too, still to this day now have an improved online presence, more of a hybrid way of doing business as a result of that. That fast tracked a lot of that, I think, for businesses. It's not that long ago that we had Tony Forrester and then President Claire McDonough in studio with us, and they were really quite pointed in their remarks as it relates to investment into this area, more generally speaking. Is that a campaign that you want to continue with? I know it's the position of the Chamber, so of course it is, but what's your views on that, where we're at and where we need to go?
Absolutely, Greg. I think, and we even discussed this last week. We had a committee meeting as well around this, that infrastructure and all that revolves around infrastructure is going to be a key thing for us this year in 2025 from a lobbying perspective. And I think that's the key one. The Chamber has many facets. One of the key ones for us is lobbying around that whole FDI bit. And when you talk to the industry, the businesses, the larger industries in Letterkenny and Donegal, that's one of the top things in their priorities is from our infrastructure. I think, Greg, from our perspective, you look, and that was what Tony and Claire had talked about, because we had discussed it at a board member, is that we now need, as in unity, all the different groups come together, begin that lobbying, not begin it, but continue it and be stronger, one voice, and that we get our fair share of what you might call the pot up here in the northwest, Greg, because yourself, you've been around the country, I drive as well, and you go down the Eastern Corridor motorways and you go into Tuam, Galway, and then you come back towards the northwest. We've no dual carriageway, nothing like that, and that's the worst part of my journey when I'm coming back from my working in Dundalk or Monaghan, that A5, that Lifford Road. So I think that whole voice, that one voice, working with the county councillors, the local municipal district, and the business community, especially our members, like 310 members. And Greg, when you do the surveys, you know from this radio show, they're the main issues that come up time and time
And
again.
one of the main issues is traffic in Letterkenny, right?
Yeah.
Now, I know Letterkenny Chamber, it's called Letterkenny Chamber, but you represent businesses beyond Letterkenny. But one of the big frustrations around Letterkenny now is access and getting around Letterkenny. The traffic chaos, and we hear from people saying, I don't even go to Letterkenny now because it's not worth the hassle. One voice that you don't hear an awful lot in relation to that is from the business community. And I hope it's not an unfair question, but why is that? Is it that the traffic situation in Letterkenny doesn't affect business? Or is it that they're concerned that if they make too big of an issue of it, that it could actually damage business because the road infrastructure is not going to get fixed, right? But if businesses are saying things are difficult to get around in, then maybe people won't come in. Or, like, I'm just curious, are businesses not really terribly affected by it or purposely not talking about it?
More and more we're hearing it from businesses, certainly. So I mean, that's part of, so we set up a subcommittee now in the chamber only in the last few weeks, actually. We always talk about it, but in fairness to Bernard Gallagher, who came and said, like, he wrote a document, which is a really good document with some really good tangible small things. Like, we're not going to be able to build a motorway or a dual carriageway around Letterkenny, but I suppose what we're saying is there are small things we're doing. I suppose businesses are talking about it, Craig, amongst themselves, and you'll hear a lot more of it, I think, in the next few weeks and months as we start to, as a chamber, talk about it as well. And there are certain, look, I mean, as I say, I travel around Ireland and I go to Galway and I'm stuck in Galway. The other towns are suffering as well, and that's not to take away from Letterkenny. And certainly it has its pinch points, as I might call them, and I think it's if we could solve those pinch points, Greg, and get those little small, it's like going into a needle, if you like, or an eye of a needle, get those sorted. But it has been discussed out there, there's no doubt about that, but I think it's certain times there's key busy times, as you know well, and then there's times when it's not so busy, so maybe it's in trying to get that message.
But the traffic always seems to be busy, if you know what I mean. But I know what you're saying. There are times that people could be encouraged to come into Letterkenny, of course. But then again, parking access, a town bus, all of these things would help. Over the course of the following year, what are your priorities?
I think, Greg, well, the first thing is this is our 60th anniversary. So, and you look back, and I was saying yesterday, if you look back 60 years ago in 1965, what were the key things then? It was social change, it was technological advances. We're in the same era in 2025. I think this year we've a lot planned in terms of celebrating our 60th anniversary. We have a new board. We've 5 new people who've come on the board, Greg, which is fantastic. And credit to those who've stepped off the board as well, have been with us for so many years. So we've lots planned. We have no different to Highland Radio and the awards on Sunday night. We have our awards in November celebrating business in Letterkenny and beyond. So looking forward to that. We have our President's Lunch. We have lots of other stuff. There's so much. And of course, St. Patrick's Day coming up on Monday week, the 17th. And I think it's just, we've 310 members and growing all the time. Shop LK, as you know, is 7.odd million at this stage. It's growing as well. So continue to focus on that. Continuing. It's I suppose trying to get the positive message out there as well, Greg, and that's not to take away from the challenges that are out there. There are challenges right across every town. I don't mind saying it, I'm from Cork and Cove, but I mean, Cove now has a population of 20,000 people, and they've one road into Cove, which is the Photo Road. And if you saw the social media down in Cove about that one road, so many towns are facing similar challenges to us. But I think, going back to what you said earlier on, I think as a chamber and as a lobby voice, that's where we need to push ourselves up another level, Greg, and that'll be key for us to
But but people might be listening, Jimmy, and when you're playing down the issues that they think are very serious, they might wonder how strongly you might end up lobbying on them.
Oh, well, I'm not playing them down. I think they're affecting me personally.
People listening to us don't live in Cove.
Oh yeah, no, but I'm just saying, lots of places. That's where we need to be strong on the.
But then again,
side.
you look at Sligo. They've had the Sligo's been freed up to a most part. The traffic doesn't go through the town. That's what they're looking at. They're not looking at similarly bad places. They're looking at places where
their own. You're looking at your own
things
backyard.
have improved, and that's what they want to see.
Yeah.
It is kind of. I'm not saying it's unprecedented, but your brother's also the head of a chamber.
Yeah, Toddy is Cove Chamber. Yeah,
it's crazy.
This is his second year. I think he might be like they do it differently down there. 2 years. So. But he had to do a second year, so they do 2 years in a row. So going back to your first question, and he's again, he's been very active as well in the chamber. Donna Marie was asking me, did it run the family? No, it was never running in the family.
Does that run in the family, being the president?
As in
of
previous, and my parents and whatever.
Oh, right, I guess.
It's all about, I suppose my mum and dad were big into the community and that sort of stuff.
Well, you see, obviously it is in your family then, so because obviously the natural progression is to try and get into positions of influence.
Yeah.
I mean, what else? That's when outside of elected politics.
Yeah.
I think you're continuing the work then of your parents because you're trying to get into positions of influence in your communities to affect change that makes life better for everyone.
Yeah, and I think the chamber, sometimes you can get, it's called Letterkenny Chamber, and it sometimes can be linked, and it is primarily a lobbying business, but I mean, as well as that, the chamber is a community organisation, as a lot of chambers I know, in Cove Chamber. So if I look at Letterkenny Chamber from a community perspective, and the stuff we're involved with CDP and many other organisations at a local level, the Christmas lights, Paddy's Day, the Buskin Festival, stuff like that, and so many other things, and that's the beauty of the chamber, that we're embedded in the community. And if you look at the board from right across different, Sean has joined us here, Sean Quinn from Highland Radio. We've so many different facets of people who are in the board, and I suppose that's, again, I look at a board, Greg, of people, there's 17 on the board who are really active at a local level.
Yeah.
Putting on yellow vests, marshalling on Paddy's Day and all that sort of stuff. And I think people, they're in it for a reason. They're in it for the community as well, and to better the community for their family, their kids, their workers, and all that sort of stuff.
All right, brilliant stuff. Well, I'm sure we'll talk over the course of the next year. Unless, Jimmy, there's anything you want to add before we finish up. I know you paid tribute to Claire, which is always important as well. And it's interesting to see some new faces on board, and fair play to those that have been working very hard up until now and maybe stepping away for a time. So
if anybody, look, one thing I'll say this year, if anybody would like to get involved, Greg, put their hand up, and that's where we've 5 new board members this year. Come forward, and not alone that, Greg, if anybody would like to become involved at a committee level, co-opted, you don't have to be a board member. And I suppose just say it's not an onerous task, to come on board and support us as well. But just to say thanks to all the members out there, Greg, because without them, the membership keeps the chamber functioning, and that's the key one. It's no different to any organisation. Without the members out there who are subscribing and paying their annual subscription, that's a big thing. So looking forward to it, and sure we'll have a bit of fun along the way as well.
Yeah, exactly. And as you say, just around the corner, St. Patrick's Day, huge event, brings an awful lot of people in to Letterkenny, as the parades do right across the county, and lots of money to spend and all that. So it won't be long before the first biggie is right upon us. All right, Jimmy Stafford, thank you very much indeed.
Thanks a million.
He is presenter of Monday Night Sessions and Centre Stage, of course, president of the Letterkenny Chamber, and in his spare time, risk and operations manager with the Bank of Ireland. I'm sure there's
talk about that another day.
Oh, yeah, there's plenty to be doing there. All right, we will actually. Okay, take
thanks,
care,
Greg.
Jimmy. Back
Cheers,
after
Greg.
these.
Thank you.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
This Friday, the Euro Millions Mega Draw is back. Yes! With a guaranteed jackpot of €130 million. Sure, it'd be rude not to. The National Lottery. It could be you. Play responsibly. Play for fun.
This Mother's Day, celebrate the extraordinary woman in your life with a gift from Pandora. From elegant necklaces to sparkling bracelets and lab-grown diamonds, find the piece she'll carry close to her heart. So what are you waiting for? Visit us in-store or online at pandora.net and make this day unforgettable. Celebrate love, because she deserves nothing but the best.
With 2025 in full swing, it's time to buy a brand new Kia at iMotors. Come down for a test drive and check out all the new models in stock. Diesel, hybrid and fully electric, including the all-new Kia EV3, which supports ultra-fast charging, allowing you to charge up to 80% in just 30 minutes with a fast charger. There's 0% finance on all EVs, plus the Sportage and Nero PHEV. All Kia cars come with a 7-year warranty and all trade-ins are welcome. Visit iMotors in Donegal to test drive the very latest from Kia today.
iMotors, fearless generation.
It's the holiday of a lifetime. Highland in the Sun 2025. This September 14th to the 21st, we go back to the stunning 4-star Sol Costa Gerada Hotel Saloon for 7 nights dinner, bed and breakfast, and lots of great entertainment with some of your favourite acts in Irish country music. Don't delay and book today by contacting Country Music Tours on 074 9119 955 or email info@countrymusictours.ie. Don't miss out on the holiday of a lifetime.
Highland Radio weather updates with McElhenney's. Discover trending new styles each week in fashion, footwear, accessories, homeware and more. Visit us to explore the latest arrivals in store or shop online at mcelhenneys.com today.
So, dry to begin with, some bright or mild sunny spells. Generally cloudy. Quite cloudy, in fact, with drizzle near northwest fringes. Outbreaks of rain and drizzle will push eastwards across the region later in the afternoon and early evening. A breezy day with moderate to fresh southerly winds and highest temperatures of 11 to 14 degrees. And tonight, scattered outbreaks of Rain and drizzle, will affect eastern areas this evening with low temperatures of 5 to 7 degrees. Dry but cold, or mainly across our region, temperatures of 2 to 5 degrees. And there will be some mist and fog around as well, but not so cold that we should see any frost or ice, which is good, isn't it? A caller believes the assessment of the Passport Office is viewing it through rose-tinted glasses. We've gotten a local politician to make representations on behalf of a friend. He's getting his passport renewed. They're saying it's a first-time application. The office will not speak to our local rep. He needs it for Monday, and it now looks like he'll miss his trip. I think there certainly was a rose-tinted view of straightforward applications. Yours doesn't sound like that at all. And I believe there still is an issue with passport staff working with local politicians. I'm not sure that was ever resolved. Do you always need a passport to go to England? Not really a question for the minister there. It depends on whether it's a boat, whether it's an airline, where you're going from the north, where you're going from the south, all that manner of stuff as well. So there are many answers to that question. Why do we need passports when all illegal people are coming here don't need them? Well, you can get rid of your passport on a plane somewhere and claim asylum if you wish. You can do that. Use your passport to get on the plane, and before you land, flush it into the toilet. If you want to go down that route, if you want to do what has happened to people coming here, you can do that, of course. How many of these reoffenders will receive free legal aid for the umpteenth time? Well, all of them, if they qualify, is the answer that you probably knew before you asked. They should never be done away with, the slow set, so this is something completely different. I'll come back to that one, actually. Hi, Greg. If you could say a big thank you to some good person who found my bank card outside Cost Cutter's car in Donna and handed it into the shop. Thank you. That comes in from Willie Doherty. Willie, isn't it lovely when you get a bit of news like that? Because having to cancel the card, get a new card, and a lot of stuff now is paid for recurring sort of debits on your card. It can be an absolute nightmare. It would be for me anyway. But isn't it nice that still, and the majority of people out there, find a card and hand it in? And as I say, is the majority do that? Greg, the mechanic within video games you referred to is called loot boxes. Indeed, it's called loot boxes in Fortnite, but it's not loot boxes in other games that I would play. It exists in the same loophole as trading card games or gacha machines. Those we doohickeys that used to be in shopping centres that would pop out like a Kinder Egg toy. But minor correction, Fortnite doesn't have those gambling mechanics. All it's purchased a direct purchase and aren't obfuscated by random chance. Well, if you go round and open, the loot boxes, you don't know what's in them either. You know what I mean? So there is a risk and reward almost. So I would agree with you and disagree with you. I think fundamentally you are correct, but I still believe that there is subtle gambling elements to these games. But I mean, if you go FIFA, you get a FIFA pack, for an example, and you could get Ronaldo or whoever is the top trump at this time, or you could get a crappy Liverpool and Manchester United player. So there is still that element that I referenced to, but I appreciate actually you texting in. Right, okay. Yes, a caller says there should be slow set should never have been done away with. It gave people an opportunity to find somebody. Nowadays it's so hard for young folk. I don't know the ins and outs of what goes on, but I do know that sometimes when we get contacts in here, it's that, you know, I think me and Lee were the same. We'd have been too shy to go up and ask anyone, and if you did, it would be one. But you do hear stories nowadays of it just being a walk up and away you go, and you can switch between some, but it all depends on the individual as well, of course. I'm not sure if it was easier now than it was then. Shocking to hear the minister just say that we are not a neutral country anymore as we are part of Europe. If that is the case, then it's time to get out of the EU, especially with their plans to create an €800 billion funded army, which will cost us dearly economically, and also their plans to fine us huge millions for not reaching their ridiculous climate change quotas. Yeah, indeed. He did say what some would see as the quiet part out loud, that we aren't neutral. Well, we are militarily neutral, but even that is maybe a line that is blurring if we get rid of the UN element of the triple lock, some would feel. Right, next hour, just around the corner. We'll take a break now for the news and obituary notices.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Simplify your debts with a debt consolidation loan from Letterkenny Credit Union. Call us on 074 910 2126 or apply online via our app or in office today.
Go full family dinners on Lidl Plus. Mix and match any 3 fresh meats for €9. Give the week a tasty start with our Board B approved chicken. Make every night about our Board B approved pork and beef dishes. Then cook up a weekend of flavourful fish options. That's the week's meal sorted. Scan the Lidl Plus app and go full Lidl today.
Virgin Media Broadband is smooth. How smooth, you ask? Well, imagine you're a big old walrus, and rather than lumbering around a glacier avoiding polar bears, you're on a lake, driving a speedboat. 3,000 kilos of mollusk-munching magnificence, feeling the wind in your whiskers and the sun on your big blubbery face. That's the kind of smoothness you feel with 99.9% broadband reliability. Available nationwide. Virgin Media. It's playtime.
Subject to location and availability. T's and C's apply. For broadband reliability, see virginmedia.ie/proof.
Want to keep your brain and eyes at their best? Try Remind, the super strength omega-3 supplement backed by Irish science. Remind's unique formula with carotenoids and 900 milligrams of omega-3s delivers essential nutrients for brain and vision health. And to see how your nutrient levels measure up, try the Life Meter scan. Available this April at Healthwise pharmacies. In just 1 minute, a quick fingertip scan provides valuable health insights. Book your free Life Meter test and support your brain and eyes with Remind.
The Power of Choice Spring Sales event is happening now at Kelly's Toyota, Letterkenny and Mount Charles. Test drive our wide range of hybrids, plug-in hybrids and the fully electric BZ4X and see why Toyota is Ireland's best-selling car brand again this year. There's flexible payment options and incredible offers, including our biggest power up booster of up to €3,000 available until the 15th of March. At Kelly's Toyota, Letterkenny and Mount Charles. Toyota, built for a better world. Terms and conditions apply. Best-selling claim based on latest published monthly figures.
Highland Radio was celebrating 35 years with a massive charity giveaway. On March 14th from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m, we're giving away €1,000 every hour and you could win. Buy a €10 ticket and your donation supports Donegal Cancer Flights, Blue Stack Special Needs Foundation and Hughie's Corner. Help those in need and grab your chance to win. Visit highlandradio.com now.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Good morning, it's 10 o'clock. Donald Kavanagh at the news desk. Firefighters in Donegal have warned that cuts to resources will have catastrophic consequences. A decision taken by senior management has resulted in fewer personnel and a second fire tender being removed. The Donegal Firefighters Association says Letterkenny Fire Station is operating at critically unsafe staffing levels, while the ability to tackle large-scale fires, road traffic collisions and life-threatening emergencies has been gravely compromised. The Cathaoirleach of Letterkenny Milford Municipal District, Councillor Jerry McMonigal, says firefighters deserve better than the disrespect he says has been shown to them. He's calling on senior fire service management to clarify the decision taken to reduce resources and what implications it will have for public safety.
I think it's incumbent on the management to explain, not just to the firefighters, but particularly to the firefighters, but to the wider community why they're making these changes, how they will improve the fire service, because the people who are currently implementing and on a daily basis, 24/7, working in the fire service are feeling really concerned about these moves, and I think it's a detrimental step and it will put the safety of our communities in jeopardy.
And the full statement from the Firefighters Association is available on our website, highlandradio.com. Discussion on this also taking place on the show today with Greg. The OPW Minister has been told that residents in parts of Killybegs live in fear of a recurrence of flooding. In November last year, much devastation was caused by flooding in the Bridge Street area of the town. Senator Manus Boyle appealed to Minister Kevin Boxer-Moran in the Shannon this morning to progress any plans for emergency flood relief measures for the area. He says it's time normality was restored for the residents.
Residents now, they can't sleep at night when there's a weather warning. They're too afraid to go to sleep.
It's March now and the sandbags are still outside the door, believe it or not. You know, Minister, I'm asking you to help the people of Killybegs at Bridge Street. 5 months on and we don't know, nobody came back to the residents to say, is there a plan in place, what we're going to do? At the end of the day, they do live in fear now once there's a weather warning.
Sure, we'll have something good to say.
And just a few moments ago, Minister Kevin Boxer-Moran said a pilot project is underway with the first phase being carried out. The jury in the trial of a man and woman accused of murdering a man in Donegal and throwing his body off Slieve League has resumed its deliberations. Alan Vile of Drummonu, Killybegs, and Nikita Burns of Carrick, Donegal deny murdering 66-year-old Robert Wilkham in June 2023. It's the prosecution's case that after beating him with a rock, they disposed of his body by throwing him off the cliff. Today marks the third day of deliberation. A Minister of State at the Department of Foreign Affairs has said the government is constantly reviewing calls for the development of a passport office in Northern Ireland. On today's 9 till noon show, Minister Neil Richmond told Greg Hughes that there are offices in Dublin and Cork with a long-term proposal on the books to develop a Northwest office in Sligo. However, he said the focus of government is to move as much of the passport office's activity as possible online.
What we instead are really looking to do, which we have done in the last 18 months, moving a lot more services online. To be quite frank, Greg, we don't want anyone to ever have to need to go to the passport office. That's for emergencies. That's for the family member who perhaps is gravely ill and it's a rush to get there, or it's a medical thing. We're constantly investing in online systems to make it as efficient as possible. I had a colleague living in Derry who applied for their passport last Thursday, landed in the post on Monday.
Another major expansion is on the cards for Ulster University in Derry. The announcement was made this week as part of the Shared Island Fund. A €44.5 million cross-border investment had been announced for the university in 2023, and a new teaching block is now to be constructed. With more detail, here's Aidan Delaney.
McAdam Design has been announced this week as the consultancy team for the Shared Island teaching block at Ulster University in Derry. The Teaching and Student Services building will be situated off the Northland Road, adjacent to the university's library, and will provide additional lecture and seminar spaces, computer labs and other social areas. Ulster University says the investment from the Irish government reflects in part the teaching and research cooperation with the Atlantic Technological University, while also enabling the 4 Northwest tertiary education cluster institutions to work more closely together, facilitating a more seamless offering of further and higher education in the region.
Weather forecast: after a dry start, it'll be generally quite cloudy with occasional drizzle near northwest fringes. Outbreaks of rain and drizzle will push eastwards across the region later in the afternoon and early this evening. It'll be breezy with moderate to fresh southerly winds. Top temperatures today 11 to 14 degrees Celsius. Tonight, scattered outbreaks of rain and drizzle will affect the eastern part of the region with lowest overnight temperatures of 5 to 7 degrees Celsius. Dry but colder elsewhere under broken cloud with lowest temperatures 2 to 5 degrees Celsius. And that's Highland Radio News. We're back with news again at 11 o'clock. Check all the day's news on our website, highlandradio.com. But for now, from the news team, good morning.
The obituary notice is for this Thursday morning, March the 6th. The death has occurred of Kathleen Holmes, Carnamady, Spinogbert, County Donegal. Kathleen will be reposing at her late residence today from 12 noon until 10 o'clock. Wake is for family and close friends only. Fiona leaving her late residence, Carnamady, Spinogbert, tomorrow morning at 10:30, going to St Angus's Church, Burt, for 11 o'clock Requiem Mass, and afterwards travelling to Lakelands Crematorium, Cavan, for 4 o'clock service. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu if desired to the Donegal Hospice, care of any family member or Kelly's funeral directors. The death has taken place of Richard Dick Collins, 53 Laurel Drive, Strabane, and formerly of Main Street, Macroom, County Cork, reposing at his home today from 12 noon. Fiona leaving his home tomorrow morning at 9:25 for Requiem Mass in St Mary's Church, Melmount at 10 o'clock. Interment afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. Family time, please, from 10 o'clock to 11 o'clock. The Requiem Mass can be viewed live via the parish webcam. The death has occurred of Jerry Donaghy in Bedford, England, formerly of Glac Carndonagh. His remains will be reposing at the family home in Glac Carndonagh from 12 noon today. Funeral from there tomorrow morning at 10:20, going to the Sacred Heart Church, Carndonagh, for Requiem Mass at 11 o'clock, followed by interment in the adjoining cemetery. Jerry's funeral mass can be viewed live on Carndonagh Parish, Derry Diocese, Ireland. And the death has taken place of Cara Hannon, Listillion, Letterkenny. Cara's remains will repose at the family home in Listillion from 1 o'clock this afternoon until after the rosary at 9 o'clock. Funeral from there tomorrow morning at 10:15, going to the Church of the Irish Martyrs, Ballyreen, for 11 o'clock Requiem Mass, which can be viewed on the parish YouTube channel, followed by interment in Comwell Cemetery, Letterkenny. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu of flowers, if desired, to the Irish Heart Foundation, care of any family member. For family information and more details regarding wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
Nippy, fun and chic don't often describe insurance, but they perfectly fit the electric Fiat 500 you have the opportunity to win if you get a new car policy from An Post Insurance. For great cover at a great price and a shot at the Fiat 500, get a quote at anpostinsurance.ie. Acceptance criteria, terms and conditions apply and are available at anpostinsurance.ie/promotions. Competition ends December 31st, 2025. One Direct Ireland Limited trading as An Post Insurance is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland. One Direct Ireland Limited is a wholly owned subsidiary of An Post.
The county's #1 talk show, the 9 till noon show on Highland Radio.
Right, okay, so some schools are inviting students today to dress up, aren't they? Is it as part of World Book Day or something? They're being advised if they wanted to come in and dress as characters, which is great fun if you have the outfits and you have the resources. Not everyone does. Some schools have told students to dress in comfy clothes instead of characters to help with the cost of living. We asked, do you think that's a good idea? Would you rather students wore comfy clothes to save money or costumes to express creativity? Some of the comments we received in relation to this, I say let the kids wear what they want. If they want to dress up, then that's fine. But if they want to wear their own clothes, that's fine too. A friend of mine's school does a PJ day instead. It's just another money-making day, I think. Another caller says, it's not right. Not all children like to dress up. They should go in normal clothes. Bring a book they like for home. From home, or go do a small project on the book. We've a lot to give to the schools all year round. It's more about competition for the families in the school of who can dress their child like characters of the books. Another our school isn't doing anything, and I'm totally happy with this. It's for enjoying books, not putting pressure on parents to sort out costumes for dress up and then kids feeling sad because others have got expensive bought costumes. There's so much now in the school year for all the other events already. They believe it's unnecessary. It's a headache for most parents, especially when the note from the school says not to buy costumes. Right, okay. A texter says, just wondering, is anyone out there still using the old Sky Plus satellite box? Mine has stopped working and Sky Ireland say they don't replace them anymore. Has anyone had a similar experience where they're still being charged for a service that no longer exists, and cannot get in touch with Sky to cancel? So, are you paying for Sky and Sky Plus at the moment? Is that what the issue is, or are you using it as a Freeview box? If you could just text us back in so we understand. I can't imagine that. What are they looking to replace it with if you're still paying for the service? Or what are you supposed to plug it into? Could you just, because we may be able to offer a little bit of advice or help in relation to that, but are you using the old Sky Plus satellite box as a Freeview box? Or are you still paying for a service charge to Sky? And what have they offered instead of the Sky Plus box? Let me know, please, and we'll see what answer we can get for you on that. Regarding the wars in Syria, Gaza, the West Bank, I've never heard Trump say to keep humanitarian aid flowing. He dismissed the Arab nation. All he wants is to build big golden towers. He's going to end up falling out with the Arab nations, indeed. And I think what that caller is referencing to, it was an alternative plan for Gaza, which was put together by the Arab nations, which would be built around the current population there, so to speak, whereas Trump wants to move them out and effectively build a holiday resort. You will not be surprised that both Trump and Israel rejected the Arab nation proposals. A caller says Trump is a big talking man in the USA. He should remember Vietnam and Afghanistan. Israel is bombing the people, pretending they're after the guerrilla Hamas. If that's Trump's strategy, then he's committing genocide too. Well, he said if Hamas don't play ball, that he will obliterate Gaza and everyone who is in it. Morning, Greg. We're being lied to regards electricity costs. The government are recouping the money spent on vaccines for COVID-19. Nothing to do with the war in Ukraine. The price increased in 2020. I get your theory on it. I can't make it make sense. In terms of the vaccines, there was a lot of money came from Europe for that type of thing. A lot of the money for electricity goes to private companies and doesn't go directly to the government. Yes, the ESB is semi-state owned, but you can account for the money they have coming in and going out. So whilst maybe the timelines match outside of that, and I'm open to investigating anything outside of that, I don't see anything to back your theory up, but always open to an education. One quick announcement before we go. Bookmark in the Letterkenny Shopping Centre on the Port Road is hosting a book signing by Dr. Keith Munro, who recently launched a biography of Dr. Tom McGinley. Of course, you will know Dr. McGinley, the founder of Full Hospice and joint founder of the Donegal Hospice, together with retired local GP Dr. James McDade. We had the pleasure of Dr. Keith Munro on this show a few weeks ago talking about his book. I know many of you will be interested in it. You can meet the author because he will be present on Saturday at Bookmark from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. So plenty of opportunity to go along and to meet Dr. Munro and get your book signed. And he'll answer any questions about Dr. Tom as well, who died some 4 years ago. He would have been very familiar with him, not just the public-facing part of Dr. Tom McGinley that many people might know, but also behind the scenes as well. Not that he was very transparent, but you know what I'm saying. So that's tomorrow. Sorry, it's not tomorrow. Lee Gooch kept calling today Friday as a joke, and it's thrown me off. It's on Saturday between 11 a.m. and 6 p.m. at Bookmark there in Letterkenny.
It's time for Vision Ireland Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Thursday, the 6th of March, Jackpot Day. You're playing for the jackpot prize of €10,600 on the pink sheet. The reference number is S9. It's game number 10. The jackpot number is 14. This number can come out in any position from the next 10 numbers drawn. And now, here are your daily numbers. 55, 79, 27, 77, 42, 4, 46, 45, 57, and finally 10. Phone your claim to 9104833 before midnight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your Vision Ireland bingo information at highlandradio.com.
For an efficient, mild hybrid system that doesn't compromise on the joy of driving, test drive the Mazda CX-30. This compact, stylish SUV comes with fuel-saving Mazda M hybrid technology and a 6-year warranty. Test drive the 251 Mazda range at McGinley Motors, Letterkenny. Mazda, crafted in Japan.
The Brandon McPhee Show is coming to the Ballarat Centre Buffet on Thursday 27th of March. A music variety show like no other with special guest Manson Grant. Tickets on sale now from the Ballarat box office or brandonmcphee.com.
Restex Beds, celebrating 50 incredible years of helping you dream better, sleep deeper and wake up refreshed. For half a century, we've been your trusted partner in comfort and innovation. And now, introducing the new Glenveigh mattress, designed with cutting-edge technology for ultimate support and luxurious comfort. It's the perfect way to celebrate our golden anniversary with the best sleep of your life. Visit Restex Beds today and experience 50 years of excellence. Restex Beds. Leave the rest to us.
Shower, teeth, clothes, coffee, keys, car, drive, work. Shower, teeth, clothes, coffee, keys, car, drive, work. Shower, teeth, clothes, coffee, keys, car, drive.
Tractor! You never know what's coming. Slow down on rural roads. A message from the Road Safety Authority. Visit rsa.ie.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union. Digital loans now available. Apply online or via our app today and get your loan transferred directly to your current account.
You may have heard that firefighters in Donegal are warning that imposed cuts or proposed cuts to resources will threaten public safety. Conor McGuigan is chairperson of the Donegal Firefighters Association and he joins us now. Hi Conor, good morning to you.
Hi Craig, how are you?
I'm doing good and thanks for speaking to us. I presume the last thing you wanted to do is sort of thrash this out in public, Conor.
Yeah, it's like everything else, Craig. You don't really want to be going to the public media or anything like that. with these situations. I'm the county shop steward as well for SIP2, so I've been involved in meetings with management, and we've been trying to come to a solution before we came to this stage, but that just didn't come to flourish, So
how long has this been talked about behind the scenes, Connor? When did those within the Firefighters Association realise that change was afoot, and when did you realise that it might sort of impact on staff and services?
Well, we were aware of it since the initial strike actions, and what we were sort of looking for a better work-life balance going back 18 plus months ago, and so we've just sort of been keeping tabs on it since then, But again, it's something that we didn't realise. That we all assumed that we're all going to get an increase in crewing levels and crewing numbers, which has happened nationally. Nearly every station in the country has had an increase in crewing levels, whereas this just Letterkenny, especially Letterkenny, we have just sort of been made aware, well, we've been reduced. So I was like, well, how does that work? So I don't know. We're just trying to get to the bottom of it, but again, we're just being met with opposition, and just sort of...
Is this a county-wide issue or specific to certain stations, Connor?
Well, we're ourselves in Buncrana, we're two pump stations, as in two fire tenders available at any one time, and we have both been downgraded to one pump, one crew available at any one time.
So, say for instance, there, God forbid, it were an incident in Lifford, and you responded to it, and Letterkenny responded to it, and then there happened to be a fire that might break out in Letterkenny. What happens in that situation?
Right. So, Lifford, because of being so close to the border, there's a shared agreement.
As I was saying it, I knew it was not the right example, so we'll relocate that away from the away from where this sort of shared agreement applies, Connor.
Yes. Well, basically, if one of the crews is out in Letterkenny is attending the scene, this has to go to the next in the PDA, predetermined attendance. It could either be Stranraer or Milford, depending on the location. Where it all depends. That's down to travel time and stuff like that, So basically, if one crew's out of the town, Letterkenny has left with no cover, So basically, that's what boils down to,
Yeah, and you are concerned that this could cost lives, be it in a fire situation with no time is of the essence, road traffic collisions, etc.
Well, absolutely. If it's allowed to go on ahead unchallenged or with no accountability, like this decision is allowed to stay in place, it will ultimately result in somebody losing their life somewhere along the line, be that a member of the public or even our own members of crew. So we can't allow it to sit back idly and let it happen. So we have to engage meaningfully with management and get a solution. There is solutions there, but we need a willingness to be in an agreement, so we just have to have that, how would you say it, intent to solve it.
Okay. So, Connor, obviously you are all over this because you work within it, so I'm just asking maybe some silly questions, right, because to try and help us generally understand it. You referenced the strike action. Was that a case that was successful and conditions did improve, but additional staff would have been required to improve those conditions but maintain the level of service?
Yes, so basically on the WRC agreement, it was for a better work-life balance, So in essence, it was an improvement to what was previously in place, but it's been misconstrued, and now it's just been misconstrued, and the interpretations is down to individual interpretations, But in essence, throughout the country, there has always been an increase, and nationally there has been generally an increase in one pump stations are going from 12 or up to from 9 to 12, and then in two pump stations were an increase determined on their individual stations' needs, So whereas every local authority has different needs, every station has different needs, different, how would you say, risk categorizations, So that will ultimately determine what's required in every station.
Yeah, we're seeking a statement, obviously, from those that make these decisions, Connor. But is your view that their view is that this is adequate cover, and that you, as people on the ground, believe that it is inadequate? That two pump stations should remain two pump stations?
With an increase, yes, and there's a thing like working on a documentation called Keeping Communities Safe documentation now that was brought out in 2014, I think. But there was elements of that was never actually ratified by the trade unions because there was up for debate certain areas of it, you know. But they're using that to work off. But ultimately, it doesn't really apply. They're not committing to a completion of a report, and so that's where we're looking for a commitment as well from the senior management to actually a timeline to when they're actually going to produce these reports. And listen, of the reports, we'll sit down and we'll go through the reports, and if the correct data and the correct information has been applied to these reports and is transparent, that fair enough, we'll accept it. But until that happens, because there's sometimes that information that is required for these documentations are sort of manipulated to suit, if you know what I'm saying.
No, of course, and then there be a battle for the public mind in these things as well. Again, one more simple question, Conor, to you, hopefully, but this is about rosters, isn't it? It's not about, or maybe it is. Are there fewer firefighters now, or because of rosters, there's fewer available at any one time, hence only one one pump being available?
Yes.
Just to be clear on that.
So that's for the roster at the minute. So it's reduced down to
realistically,
one available pump.
to increase better conditions, and that's what it was about, really, better conditions for firefighters.
Yeah.
To make sure that happened and the level of service was maintained, it would require the employment of additional firefighters.
Yes, to make sure that the same level of cover has been provided within this town area for the urban centre of Letterkenny, you know. So we need that an extra increase in numbers. We all balloted for a better work-life balance nationally, and in essence, it's a good start, because going from at least having structured time off to having your no timed off, it's more manageable now in the current day in life, you know yourself.
Yeah, but of course, you know, what happens now is that the debate is, this is firefighters, they wanted this, and this is the result. Whereas, you know, firefighters and unions were saying, this is all we were entitled to. Now it's up to the bosses to ensure more people are hired if need be to maintain the level of service. So it can almost descend to a blame game, which I'm trying to avoid on this programme, of course, Conor. But I just want to make sure I'm right across the topic.
Listen, we're not trying to blame anybody, but we're just trying to make sure that there is a correct level of cover, and the appropriate level of staffing is applied to each station, you know, and misinterpreting the data and some of the text in the WRC agreement isn't acceptable, you know. Like, the WRC agreement is supposed to be an improvement on the old 99 composite agreement, so isn't actually replacing the 99 composite agreement. It's an improvement, and both of them are to run in tandem, you know. So that's where there's some sort of confusion starting to creep in my opinion, you know. So I think we just need to clarify that. Again, being at the table as the SIP2 rep, it's just a wee bit disheartening at times, you know, whenever you're trying to come across, we're trying to be amicable, we're trying to resolve it, instead of just being met with opposition and say, well, no, we can't do this. Well, it's been perceived as like a cost-cutting exercise, whereas, I don't know, cost shouldn't come under it whenever lives are at risk, you know. That's my interpretation, and I think every firefighter in the country would be of the same opinion, you know.
Yeah, we know the challenges that are already faced in terms of actually even getting connected onto proper water supplies and where they're located and all that type of stuff. It's a tough enough job as it is. Stay there, Barry McMenamon, SIP2 Health and Safety Rep. And I don't think we can add much to what Conor has said in outlining the concerns in terms of the service provision. But also, too, you know, Barry, you're called out to a dangerous situation. You need all resources. We don't want one crew out there without the backup and putting themselves in danger. There is a health and safety element to this, a big one.
Craig, thanks for putting us on there. Craig, look, it's better for looking at men than looking for men. As you know, like, we're all retained, we're all on call. The structured time off is a good thing, but we do need more manpower on the ground when it's going to be week on, week off.
And how many extra staff are required, do you believe? Or because, I mean, obviously, you know, this is about an improved conditions for firefighters. Most people would agree that that's what needs to be done. But if that means hiring more people, then how many are we talking?
Now, it's not up for us to come up with that number, but we're thinking on the rounds of maybe 20, 22 men, you know, to do the same effective work that we are doing at the minute, you know.
And you would be sure that this would result in slower response times potentially, especially around major instances. And we've seen really major instances recently, of course, where we know time is of the essence. It's hard to believe we'd be going backwards in terms of cover.
It's a hard thing to believe, but that's what we are, Craig. Look, if Letterkenny is reduced, as it has been now, to a one-pump station, if Letterkenny's been called out, Stonorder usually sits on standby, so it could sit in between Letterkenny and Stonorder, which is, and we all know what the traffic situation is like in Letterkenny at the moment. So it is going to reduce the effectiveness of the call times for us.
Well, I mean, it's inevitable if two main stations go down to one pump stations, and I'm thinking particularly for Buncrana because, you know, every response is coming from a southerly direction, whereas in Letterkenny, I suppose, you know, support could be coming from numerous directions. I would feel quite isolated if I was in Buncrana, I think. But clearly, I don't think I'm exaggerating and I'm reading this correctly. We are having fewer firefighters and fewer vehicles available at any one time, which is clearly going to impact the ability to respond to a situation where all the resources are required.
Oh, definitely, Craig. Like we don't want reduced times. You know, we want to be on the ground and we want to be firefighting, and we want to do it in a safe manner and a productive manner. You know, and with all that's been pulled back again, you know, it's going to tie our hands as to what we can do to be effective for the community. Like we work hard, we work for the community, we are the community, and it's very hard for us. Like if you take an example in Letterkenny when there's only one crew available, you know, at a minimum of 6 men turning out to a call. And if you look at all the schools and hospitals, there's 600 plus people in all them buildings. Like you take the IT there or the hospital. Do you imagine 6 men turning up and waiting half an hour for another crew to come up?
It does seem under-resourced. And Barry, you know, I think the message coming out from the Firefighters Association is that, you know, this is not just a firefighters or a service issue here, that potentially the public could be affected by this. And if they understand that, to sort of maybe get onto the local rep or what have you, to lobby the powers that be to address your concerns.
Yeah. Now, you've read comments there earlier on about the councillors. Councillors seem to be behind us on this issue. We are willing to work. Well, we want to we'll go forward with all this. We need the community support too to get behind us. I'm in the fire service now, coming up to 14 years. We know what we need, and we want to use what we can get out of the fire service.
And this obviously is the first part, potentially. I mean, what, as a SIPTU rep, Barry, what could you see this escalating to?
I hope it's not going to escalate into something major. I think if we keep the dialogue going, keep communication going, I think we can work through this. There's always a solution to every problem. I think if the management work with us, we'll work with them. All
right, gentlemen, thank you very much indeed. Keep up the great work. Barry McMenamum, SIPTU Health and Safety Rep, and also Conor McGuigan, Chair of the Donegal Firefighters Association. Let us know what you think. 086 60 25,000. Mary Jo Doherty on Facebook says, could you please find out why has Uris and surrounding areas no water? There's a fault. Ishka Aaron say that they're currently investigating reports of a supply disruption to Leanan, Clonmany and surrounding areas, which I believe would include you, Mary Jo. More information to follow. Invariably, more information doesn't follow from what I've seen. They put these messages out on social media and then that's the end of it. If we can find out when your service will be restored, of course, we will bring that information to you. But it is an outage which is currently being investigated. I'll keep an eye on it in case there are any updates. I don't want to be unfair to Ishka Aaron either. Right, let's take a break.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, with monster loans available up to €60,000 for all occasions. Visit letterkennycu.ie.
Anger over states' re-wetting plans intensifies. In this week's Irish Farmers Journal, we look at why farmers are furious over peatland proposals. GAA seeks farmland nationwide for solar farms. Agricultural tax reliefs are back in the spotlight. Departments set to clamp down on map acres. Find what price you'll need for grass cattle to break even this autumn. Latest on the ICBF Pedigree Society's row inside our special suckler focus. And why planning permission can be harder to get on land with road frontage. All inside this week's Irish Farmers Journal.
Ready to transform your smile? Discover the magic of Blue Poppy Dental in Letterkenny and Donegal Town. With implantologists, surgical and cosmetic dentists, orthodontists and an endodontist all under one roof, we've got all your dental needs covered. Starting your journey is easy. Call us on 074 91 20355 or book your appointment online anytime through our user-friendly patient portal at bluepoppydental.com. Blue Poppy Dental and Orthodontics, where smiles shine brighter.
Refresh your space for summer with Foy's of Ballybuffet in Letterkenny. Whether you're looking to refresh your home or transform your business, Foy's experts are here to help you every step of the way with free interior design and paint colour consultations. From wallpapers to curtains, blinds to lighting and accessories to furniture styling. We've got it all. Ask about our defective block support scheme. Foy's of Ballybuffet in Letterkenny, the largest paint and wallpaper stockist in the Northwest.
When it's time for confirmation or first communion, it's time for a trip to Watson Menswear in Letterkenny. Choose from a great selection of top label, casual and formal wear. Suits with matching shirts and ties. Blazers, jackets and shirts. Also denims, chinos and footwear from big names like Diesel, Cavani and Tommy Bow. Stand out on the big day at Watson Menswear. Open 7 days a week on Main Street, Letterkenny. And online at watsonmenswear.com.
PDO thread lifts and skin boosters, which rejuvenate the skin by improving facial contours, lifting and tightening the jowls, neck, cheeks and eyebrows, are available at Genesis Aesthetics and Skincare Clinic, Gweedore. To choose the right aesthetic treatment for you, contact Mary Ferry, your aesthetic practitioner. Also offering fat dissolving treatments, dermal fillers and laser treatments for all skin conditions. Hair and makeup packages also available. Genesis Aesthetics and Skincare Clinic, Gweedore. 07495 325 75.
Right, Pat Harvey is the former CEO of the Northwestern Health Board, and he joins us now. Pat, how are you getting on?
Very well, thank you, Greg.
We were just had a very brief conversation before you sat down, and I would love to dig into the health service with you. I think maybe I've got a tentative agreement. We might do that into the future.
Glad to have a conversation.
Yeah. Because it's always good to speak to people with experience, and God knows you have plenty of that. But I want to talk to you about the reimbursement scheme for free hip and knee replacements for Donegal patients. How important is this?
Well, the reason I'm here is because I'm somebody who believes that for once the border counties like Donegal, Sligo, Leitrim are at an advantage. They just don't have to be on waiting lists anymore. You don't have to have private health insurance. You go to your GP says, I think you need a hip replacement. You say to the GP, I want to explore cross-border or Kingsbridge or whatever. He clicks onto a site. They ring you in the afternoon and the ball starts rolling. And there's no reason for anybody to be on a waiting list ever with that service. And it's
that
refunded by the HSE.
And that's it, Pat. I think that's a really important thing to clarify. And I've done that on this show before about people believe you have to be on a wait list for a year, 2 years, 3 years.
5 minutes.
As soon as the 5 minutes, exactly. As soon as your GP says you look like a neo-hip replacement candidate, especially in our area here, the ball can start rolling really quickly.
Just as quickly as that, you can say to the GP, I want to explore it. He has a facility on his computer to click onto Kingsbridge. They'll ring you that afternoon or the following day, and that starts the ball rolling. You don't have to do anything you don't want to do. They'll talk you through it. They'll do the paperwork. I mean, my own family have used it several times in recent year or two, and it's excellent. I mean, I've used private services in Dublin, the Beacon. I've been to Galway. So I'm saying this is on a par with it. I'm not saying it's better or worse. It's certainly on a par. And our experience of it has been just excellent. And I know I do some work with Kingsbridge, so it sounds like I'm plugging them, but they're the hospital that's in place.
At the end of the day, if it's a service and you do some work with it, so be it. I'm interested in helping the public, and if a private company benefits from that, well then so be it. The public's my priority. And if there's someone listening who, we can't lie down, can't stand up, can't sit down, and they think I'm going to have to wait 2, 3, 4 years. That's my focus. That's what I'm interested in.
Yeah.
Often then when this comes up, we hear, and I don't know how representative it is, I think it's a low number of the upfront costs. People say that's fine, I can get fully reimbursed, but where do I get the upfront costs? I do know some credit unions work with people in relation to that. And then you'll get other people say that when it came to then getting reimbursed, it was under a different category, and I was told it was 4,000, and then I only got reimbursed 2,000. I'm just picking figures out of my head, Pat.
And that's
so a lot of that stuff goes out there, and then I think people get very nervous about it. So that's, I think, the greatest challenge to overcome to get people using this scheme.
Well, it's fair comment, and that has been said to me, in fact, on occasions. Most operations, you'll get a total refund. Some operations, there's a shortfall. You'll know all of that by dealing with the Kingsbridge people on the phone call on the day you get.
So everyone goes in with their eyes wide open.
Wide open. And if you have to, and you do have to fund it up front, and then you get the refund some couple of weeks later, or a month or two months later from the HSE. So you do have to fund it up front. If you don't have that wherewithal, it may be that the credit union will, facilitate you. They're geared to do that. They know of the scheme. Some of them are quite deliberate about funding that. But you do have to go through that process of ensuring you have the funds, or getting it from a family member.
And it's in the interest of the credit union too, because, if all the paperwork is in place, it's a secure loan. They can make a few quid off it. It helps people in their community.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, you've just said it, in fact. If somebody, why would anybody wait even more than a week or two for a service when they can get the service as is offered, at the quality at which it's offered? So I just don't see why people should languish on waiting lists when they've got options.
Well, there's one line from a press release here. Patients with a referral from their GP can have a consultation and surgery within a month of their first contact with Kingsbridge.
Correct.
Which is really quite remarkable. So you talked of the engagement with your GP, the GP getting in contact with Kingsbridge or some other private company or whatever it might be, them contacting you potentially that afternoon. Within a month, you could have
your
walking off.
You could have your outpatient appointment within a week. You could have your operation scheduled within a month, 6 weeks, whatever it is, whatever makes sense to both patient and consultant. And that's remarkable. You're right. And Donegal hasn't enjoyed that in the past. Well, they have in the last few years, but they haven't enjoyed it over the years. We've always been peripheral. We've always been at a disadvantage. We're 3.5 hours from Dublin. We're 3.5 hours from Galway. We're 45 minutes from Ballykelly. Ballykelly has stepped up and is doing a huge amount, doing the hips and doing the knees. And you're only 2 hours from Belfast. I can be door to door in Belfast in less than 2 hours. So,
and hundreds of people have availed of this, but thousands haven't. And we're on about people that are on waiting lists at Letterkenny University Hospital. So hundreds know what we're talking about, but thousands, I don't know if they've looked at it and it wasn't for them, but thousands of people are suffering for months and years, potentially unnecessarily.
Correct. You've just said it.
It's as simple as that,
It's as simple as that. There's 13,000 odd on the outpatient waiting list. How many of those are going to be scheduled for operations? Why would they wait?
And under the HSE scheme, and I think it's very important that people, because I know people might start texting in about having to get receipts from a petrol station on the day and all of that, and I do know there are issues there and stuff that needs to be streamlined, but I also do know that the Ombudsman in this area is keeping a very close eye on the cross-border scheme. And they have been dealing with cases where the HSE have frustrated the process or there's been any delays. I've spoken to the Ombudsman on a couple of occasions about this. Like the HSE sometimes look for a receipt from a shop next to a hospital.
No, well, I'll tell you my own personal experience.
The Ombudsman's all over that as well. Go ahead, Pat.
My own personal experience with a family member is that I bought a cup of coffee in Kingsbridge, kept the receipt, and that was it.
Yeah, but the Ombudsman has an issue with even having to do that, as if someone is lying about this, right? So anyway, my feeling is that kind of stuff is going to be a thing in the past and not too distant future. And you can get 100%, close to 100%, not just on hips and knees, hernias, etc. There are other operations
and I don't want to be definitive about whether it's 100% or 90% or whatever. Most of them are fully covered by cost. Some of them are not, like cataracts. So you just have the conversation with the Kingsbridge representative, and they're excellent. I mean, they ring you, they follow up on it, they come back to you, they do the paperwork, They let you know what the shortfall may be, if there's any shortfall, if there is a shortfall. You know exactly what you're engaging in, and you say
and
yes
you can put
or
a
no
cost
to
on it. You know, say there was a shortfall of 800, you say, well, is 400 a year for the next 2 years worth it to me to sort of get my life back?
Well, if you had private health insurance, you wouldn't be anywhere near 800. It'd be multiples of that.
Yeah, of course,
so just a once-off payment and a shortfall, if you can afford it, is well worthwhile to most people. It's much less than a holiday would be.
Now, just we're speaking in the context too of a team from Kingsbridge Healthcare. They're at the Waterfront Hotel, beautiful hotel by the way, in Dunlow. On Friday to talk through the range of fully subsidised treatments and surgeries available at their facilities in Belfast and Derry. And as I say, there's no point me and you picking through them.
No,
that's what they're there for.
People drop in. They'll be very welcome to drop in. They'll be surprised at how welcome they will be, and they'll be surprised at how easy Kingsbridge make it. I think that's what struck me most with the service that we got for a family member. It was just how easy they made it. They make sure you turn up. They give you prompts. They give you reminders. They let you know what you're dealing with. They let you know what the costs are. And there are no surprises.
In terms of follow-up, how do you find that in your experience?
Believe it or not, even more remarkable, because when my relation came back post-operatively, within 24 hours I got a phone call from the HSE hub in Letterkenny to say, would you drop into us on Monday, we'll do the post-operative care.
All right, okay, that worked well in that situation. And as I say, there are individual cases, like my mother only got half her money back because she didn't stay the night. I'm not sure where that was or that facility was, but there was a miscommunication there or something, or what might. But I think what the key thing here is to explore it.
Have the conversation,
to have any concerns addressed in advance, and take it from there. Because the thing is,
smoother run.
Like there was 487 patients from Donegal had surgery at Kingsbridge last year. I've had one text. Which is 0.12% of those that did, right? So I want to make sure that the coverage is fair and that we don't discourage people from maybe having their life turned around in short space. That's a responsibility I have. All right, Pat. We will reconvene. Caroline's out there. We might set up a chat. I'd love to get your views on the health service more generally. We've just an awful lot on the show today, but I appreciate you coming on and giving us your views on this. Pat Harvey, former CEO of the North Western Health Board. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And he is on the record as a strong advocate for Donegal patients to use the NIPHS personal family experience of it, as you heard. If you're interested, there is representatives from the Kingsbridge Healthcare Group. They're going to be at the Waterfront Hotel in Dunlow tomorrow to talk through a range of the fully subsidised treatments and surgeries. And as I say, any concerns, maybe it's not for you, and there's nothing in it for me. And I don't really fully, because I don't have private health insurance. Thankfully, I haven't had to engage too much with the health service. I don't know the ins and outs of private health insurance, the public side of it. I do know a bit about the cross-border refund scheme. But the best thing to do is to ask the companies directly to find out. And if that kind of a conversation relieves someone, so in other words, if you were told that you had 2 years to wait or 3 years to wait, and after the back of this conversation today, can you imagine you ended up with a new hip or new knee in a month? If that is you, if that happens, please let me know. I'd love to know that a conversation like that has a positive impact on someone, because that's why we get up and come to work in the mornings.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages from €40,000 to €600,000 with no hidden fees or transaction charges. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
If you're into makeup, then you'll want to know that Lancôme's elite makeup artist Lorraine Lynch will hold a makeup and skincare masterclass at McGee's Chemist Letterkenny on Thursday 13th of March at 7pm. With refreshments, giveaways and prizes, it promises to be a really enjoyable experience. Tickets at just €25 are redeemable against any Lancôme purchase on the night. Places are limited, so booking is essential. Call McGee's Chemist on 91211409 or call in store to guarantee your VIP place.
Do you need a little extra help staying in your home? At Bluebird Care, we offer a wide variety of QMark-approved personalised home care services across Donegal. And our fully trained and committed staff will always meet your care needs with kindness, compassion and dignity. To get your personal home care assessment plan, visit bluebirdcare.ie or call our care team today on 07491 29562. and bring care home.
The Renault Symbioz E-Tech Full Hybrid is a study in balance in an all-new family compact SUV, much like a symphony. The solar-based sunroof illuminates or darkens, and the smart infotainment system has Google built in. It's a soaring crescendo of a family hybrid. The new Renault Symbioz from 0% APR or €1,500 trade-in bonus. Finance is made under a hire purchase agreement. T's and C's apply. MFS, subject to lending criteria. Offers are limited. See Renault.ie.
It's Local Enterprise Week, with events for small businesses and budding entrepreneurs. One of the highlights is on Friday with the Made in Donegal Business Summit and Showcase, bringing together some of Donegal's brightest minds from the worlds of sport and business, like Jim McGuinness, Willie McCarter and Joe Barr, with host Ciara Doherty, while the showcase will celebrate the county's thriving artisan food and craft industries. That's this Friday, 9 till noon, live from the Mount Errigal Hotel, Letterkenny.
Highland Radio weather updates with McElhenney's. Discover trending new styles each week in fashion, footwear, accessories, homeware and more. Visit us to explore the latest arrivals in store or shop online at mcelhenneys.com today.
Okie dokie, let's have a look at that weather forecast for you. And, well, this morning is gone now for the most part, hasn't it? So we'll see outbreaks of rain and drizzle pushing across the region. Later in the afternoon and early evening, it's going to be a breezy day with moderate to fresh southerly winds and highest temperatures of 11 to 14 degrees. In relation to the cross-border reimbursement scheme, I did this and I went ahead with it without waiting on an approval letter from the HSE. I ended up paying out €30,000. I only got 12 back. This really needs to be made clear to people. Make sure you've got that approval letter for the category of operation that you're going for as well. Important. Why is there no follow-up after operations? I know people that had operations up there and plenty of follow-up, and Pat talked of it, but also interested in hearing of situations like yours where there isn't a follow-up. Geraldine says, my bank card fell out in a taxi and my driving licence. The taxi driver called up to the house yesterday with my pouch of cards. I'm so grateful, so I'd like to say a massive thank you to that taxi driver. As you'd know, as part of our 35th birthday celebrations, we've partnered with 3 charities. No, you can go on out. I can fill out a little bit. We play it fast and loose here. Don't worry about it. We've partnered up with 3 charities. We heard of Huey's Corner yesterday and the amazing work that they do. You'd be perhaps more familiar with the Blue Stack Special Needs Foundation, and we're also supporting Donegal Cancer Flights and Services. And it is an opportunity over the next wee while for us to learn a little bit more about the services. And before we get to that, I just want to let you know how we're doing it. We have a massive cash draw live on our website right now. Tickets are a tenner. And on March 14th, we are going to have a great day of fun here as part of a Highland Radio Open Day. But we're going to give €1,000 away an hour from 11 a.m. Through to 8 p.m. So you can support these charities, and we hope you do so, but you also can win cash. So it's a familiar cash draw that we've done in the past, but this time the sole beneficiaries are you as a thank you, but also Huey's Corner, the Blue Stack Special Needs Foundation, and Donegal Cancer Flights and Services. Laura Cassidy, good morning to you.
Good morning, Greg.
Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome. Come a bit closer to me, Laura, if you don't mind.
Yeah, absolutely.
CEO of the Blue Stack Special Needs Foundation, and Michelle Ford, Training Progression Officer at the Blue Stack Special Needs Foundation. Good morning to you, Michelle.
Good morning, Greg.
Right, Laura. I think there is a great level of familiarity with the Blue Stack Foundations, but just so we know what we'll be supporting through these endeavours, describe it from your perspective, what you do.
Absolutely, I will. I suppose what we do in Donegal is we provide a fantastic range of services for adults with additional needs. So it's an umbrella organisation. Anyone with an additional need will benefit from services. We have children's programs, we have adult services, we have social enterprises, and all of that is what we provide for our local community. I suppose for the children, we have after school clubs, we have Saturday clubs, we have teen clubs, we do summer camps, we do messy play, we do sensory sessions. We do a lot to try and provide a service for the younger national school to secondary school age children.
And it's also about, bringing people forward, their confidence, the communication, employment opportunities.
Absolutely.
I know you work with local businesses to give employment opportunities. I know obviously there's a CAF on site for that as well.
Absolutely.
So this is about helping people to every individual to reach their personal
100%.
potential.
100%. Yeah, I suppose that there's really what we strive to do for everybody that attends the Blue Stack Foundation, whatever their age may be, is to help them reach their goals, reach their dreams, and to be the most confident versions of themselves when they're in their happy place. I suppose the training and progression program, like you mentioned, that is where we would try and find employment. So we're building confidence, we're working on social skills, we're given really valuable life skills, all within a few years of our program. We've had people that have not been able to walk in through the building because they've been too nervous to all of a sudden they are the life and soul of the party.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
up and
We'll
dancing
talk a
in the
bit
middle of the room.
to Michelle about that in a sec. But the majority of the work the Blue Stack Special Needs Foundation does is through fundraising and what have you. There's always been an issue in terms of funding, when funding might come, how that funding might be. I know that's been going on for years and years and years.
Yeah.
Is that still the case? Is it still annually filling out all the forms to try and get some funding, or is there some, state-funded annual funding locked in now?
I suppose we're quite lucky in that. So our CSP department is funded by Pobble, so we have a few years of funding there, and it's the same with training progression, also funded by Pobble, which comes from the Department of Justice. So we have, I suppose, secure funding with both of those programs. With our outreach respite support, that there receives TUSLA and HSE funding, so we're secure in that sense. It's our programs department that provides all the fun, fantastic experiences for the children that we're so heavily reliant on the fundraising that's done for us.
Yeah, Michelle Ford, as training progression officer at the Blue Stack Special Needs Foundation, you and all the staff there would see the example that we heard there from Laura of the person who is nervous even coming in the door to what they can achieve. It must be wonderful to see that and to be a part of that journey.
It's so fantastic. Yeah, we're so lucky to get to be a part of that. You come to work every day and you're going to see something amazing on that day, and seeing everyone grow, and you just have so much pride for everything that they achieve every day.
And this is a foundation, an organisation that growed from the need, from a gap there, because without the Blue Stack Foundation there, these services aren't there.
No.
I mean that's a fact. And as often happens, it's the parents or caregivers of the children affected that end up establishing and working and volunteering in this as well. So, in supporting a foundation like that, you are supporting people and their children.
Absolutely. Everyone has a right to these services and a right to grow in a way that works for them.
Yeah. And often too, isn't it the case, Laura, that, arguably too much of these organisations' times is spent fundraising to enable the fantastic stuff that's actually done?
I suppose we're lucky in the fact that we have such a big team that we can all rally together, and we have the ability to be able to go out and fundraise all the while providing services. But that doesn't happen without teamwork. That doesn't happen without everyone working together to make sure that we're able to balance everything out, to still provide a service and being able to fundraise at the same time, and have our community behind us to help us with that.
The foundation building is located at the Glebe in Donegal Town. That's opposite the AVS. People might be more familiar with. There has been talk over the years of I don't know if it would be a second premises, a satellite premises. There's been talk of maybe being located in Letterkenny. What is the situation in terms of that? Are those plans still there? How are they progressing?
I think that's our dream. Our dream is definitely to be able to expand, to provide a service in other locations around the county. I suppose we have our satellite premises. That's where our focus is at the moment. But over the next couple of years,
to actually establish a centre.
Absolutely. It'd be absolutely fantastic to be able to expand and to have other premises throughout the county.
So talk to me about the satellite service and how many people you engage with there.
I suppose in our foundation we do have we have a big group of people that join us on a weekly basis. I suppose altogether we have about 500 members of the Blue Stack Foundation.
Amazing.
In our training and progression program, we do have 22 people that join us on a weekly basis. Programs, they have a wide range of families that engage with all of their different activities that they have on. We have our social enterprises, being the Blue Stack Cafe and the Blue Stack Shack, that we have all of our trainees and some people from HSE facilities in the local area that all come to avail of work placements there. So we have a lot of people joining us.
Great stuff.
Basis.
Time for a quick chat with Anne-Marie, who is the sister stroke mammy of Catherine. Good morning to you, Anne-Marie. How are you keeping?
Very well. How are you all doing today?
I'm doing
I spoke
good.
to you a few weeks ago there.
I know. Come here.
I know.
How have you found the Blue Stack Foundation for you and yours?
Listen, it's been life-changing. I suppose just to give you a little bit of a background from a point of view of my family. My mum, Catherine's mum, passed away in July a year and a half ago, and she was very, her illness was very short. So basically, one day she was fine, and 20 days later we buried her, unfortunately, which was absolutely devastating for Catherine. Catherine hadn't attended any centres or any facilities for over 7 years. I suppose COVID being one factor, but also I suppose the centre that she had been attending due to cutbacks just didn't really suit Catherine's needs. The staff are beautiful and all in the centre, but the other clients, there was a mismatch. So she was very unhappy, and Mum had made a decision a number of years ago not to send her back to that centre, and then COVID hit. So very, very recluse wee girl after Mum passed away. Mum had sheltered her and treated her and babied her a lot. So after Mum passed away, I work for myself. I have 3 kids in college. I had to work, and we needed to try and find, I suppose, a suitable place for Catherine. We were very lucky to have heard about the Blue Stack Foundation. We put an application in, and absolutely blessed.
And Catherine has really grown into herself and learned new skills and social skills in such a short period of time, Anne-Marie.
Totally. Catherine would have had no value in money value. Catherine would have been afraid it had got to the stage where Catherine was afraid to walk into a shop that had electric doors. She would have had no value on, how to maybe even self-hygiene or, I suppose tidy up after herself, do anything. She'd really become really quite baby-like again. She'd sort of regressed so much that, and when she went to the Blue Stack, they learned about money, their music. She's learning to read and write through the ETB. They do a half a day a week there, which she loves. And I suppose when Catherine is turning 40 on Tuesday, and when Catherine was a younger Down syndrome, the opportunity of education just wasn't there the way it is now, and how things have progressed. So for her now to be getting that chance to go back and do that, and she's there doing her letters and her numbers and her words, and it's absolutely beautiful to just watch this wee girl just turning into this flower.
Indeed. Anne-Marie, and you'll pass on, I'm not sure if Catherine's listening, but the big 4-0 on Tuesday, it's a milestone. We wish her a really happy birthday. So happy birthday, Catherine, if you're listening. And you're having a fundraiser, am I correct in saying, to mark her 40th?
Yeah. We are indeed, yes. So basically, Catherine turns 40 on Tuesday, and we're planning to have a wee party over in her happy place on the Blue Stack Foundation in the room on the Friday for 3 hours, because that's where she's happy to go, and we know she's not going to have any fear about going into the building there. And the intention is that we're going to do a wee bit of food and a wee cake and all for her. But Catherine, if you ask Catherine what she wants for her birthday, it's colouring book and crayons. So there's only so many colouring book and crayons we can handle, because we could already open a shop. So what we're going to do is, and myself and Catherine, we chat about this last night, is Catherine would like maybe that any donations that people would want to give her a birthday present, that they would donate the money towards the Blue Stack Foundation. Because we're in a fundraising campaign at the moment with Teddy Steady Go, and as you know, we have a group out in Everest, or on their way to Everest.
That's right, yeah, okay.
Through the Erigal to Everest Challenge.
Brilliant.
So we're going to set up a wee contact on that Teddy Steady Go page.
Pass that on to me, and I'll get it publicised here, Anne-Marie. I have to rush off, but thanks so much, and give our love to Catherine and wish her a happy birthday.
Yeah, and can I just say also just very quickly a very well wishes towards Wendy, our previous CEO in Blue Stack, who did an amazing job there and has left her legacy behind her. And to wish Laura, our acting up CEO, the absolute best of luck, and hopefully that we can, as things can continue on into the future, that that we can continue to kind of grow the foundation as best we can.
Okay, thanks so much, Anne-Marie, and say hello to Catherine for us. Take care of yourself, and part of. We heard of great fundraisers there, and that's part of what we're doing as well. I'll tell you more about that after the 11 o'clock news. But thanks now to Laura Cassidy, CEO of the Blue Stack Special Needs Foundation, acting CEO. Thanks so much, Laura, and also Michelle Ford, Training Progression Officer at the Blue Stack Special Needs Foundation. Thanks so much for calling up. And we're recording some stuff with the girls and some of the service users throughout the course of today, and we'll make that available for broadcast and also on our socials as well as part of our celebrations. Okay, right, what time is it? Just a minute past 11. You are tuned to the 9 till noon show here in Highland Radio. We've got lots coming up in the final hour of the show, but stay tuned. because now we cross over to Donald Kavanagh, who has the latest news headlines at 11:11. Good morning, Donald.
Thank you, Greg. Good morning. Firefighters in Donegal have warned that cuts to resources will have catastrophic consequences. A decision taken by senior management has resulted in fewer personnel and a second fire tender being removed. The Donegal Firefighters Association says Letterkenny Fire Station is operating at critically unsafe staffing levels, while the ability to tackle large-scale fires, road traffic collisions and life-threatening emergencies has been gravely compromised with the removal of the appliance. The OPW Minister has been told that residents in part of Killybegs live in fear of a recurrence of flooding. In November of last year, much devastation was caused by flooding in the Bridge Street area of the town. Donegal Senator Manus Boyle appealed to Minister Kevin Boxer-Moran today to progress any plans for emergency flood relief for the area. He says it's time normality was restored for residents. Minister Boxer-Moran says a pilot project is underway, with the first phase already being carried out by Donegal County Council. You can listen to those exchanges on our website, highlandradio.com. The jury in the trial of a man and woman accused of murdering a man in Donegal and throwing his body off Slieve League has resumed its deliberations. Alan Vile of Drummanoo in Killybegs and Nikita Burns of Carrick, Donegal, deny murdering 66-year-old Robert Wilkin in June 2023. It's the prosecution's case that after beating him with a rock, they disposed of his body by throwing him off the cliffs. They've now deliberated for over 6 hours. A 32-year-old man is due in court in Derry today following the seizure of a quantity of herbal cannabis, cocaine and diazepam tablets in the city. They're estimated to have a street value of £3,500. He's been charged with a number of offences, including possession and intent to supply. Another 32-year-old man arrested as part of that investigation has been released on police bail, pending further inquiries. A Minister of State in the Department of Foreign Affairs has said the government is constantly reviewing calls for the development of a passport office in Northern Ireland. On today's 9 till noon show, Minister Neil Richmond told Greg Hughes there are offices in Dublin and Cork with a long-term proposal on the books to develop a Northwest office in Sligo. However, he said the focus of the government is to move as much activity as possible online, and that is currently the major focus of investment. And finally, a new campaign's been launched to highlight the danger of speed on rural roads. Adverts from the Road Safety Authority are supported by the families of some of those who've been killed on the roads and highlight how even slight speed increases on rural and familiar roads can be devastating. Transport commentator Conor Faulkner says almost 3 in every 4 road deaths happen on rural roads. And we're back with news headlines again at 12 noon.
Okay, Donald, thanks very much for that.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
Hello, I'm Johnny Cash.
Walk the line with the award-winning Johnny Cash and June Carter tribute show Cash Returns, live at the Strual Arts Centre Omagh on Saturday 8th of March. Limited tickets on sale at the box office. That's Cash Returns at the Strual Arts Centre Omagh on Saturday 8th of March.
Lag alles dacher ma chórsaí na Commissionary Income chan ein cred vas na conach a bhfuil tú i daidile éileh. Agus inis dúin faoi ein income breise a hill tú las muit an choras imat. Ma tá así ciach drita dit, joi tú leis dit de chúpla lá. Ma tá airige dlita dúin, I bro míid leat rawa iciachta. Mo chórsaí, tá sé tapa, tá sé éasca, agus tá sé séir an asca.
If you're looking for a competitive insurance quote, contact Hickey Clark and Langan Insurance Brokers in Letterkenny. Home, car or van insurance, farm, commercial or public liability insurance. They compare quotes from all the leading insurers so you get a great price. Call Hickey Clark and Langan on 91 26688 or call into the office at Ballymacool, Letterkenny. Hickey Clark and Langan General Insurances Limited, trading as Hickey Clark and Langan, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Are you building, extending, improving or simply redecorating your home? Then save the date and visit Efficient Renewables at the Inishowen Co-op Home Build Show on Saturday 22nd of March at the Inishowen Gateway Hotel, Buncrana. Meet industry experts and get insights on the latest trends in flooring, plumbing, roofing, insulation, solar energy and more. Don't miss it. Proudly sponsored by Efficient Renewables, your trusted specialists in solar panels, heat pumps and energy saving solutions. Efficient Renewables, powering your home efficiently.
On Business Matters this week, I'll be reflecting on the hugely successful Highland Radio Hospitality Awards with Highland's Head of Sales, Sean Quinn. And I'll be finding out what exactly the Agri-food regulator is and its relevance to businesses in Donegal. So join me, Chris Ashmore, for Business Matters after the 6 o'clock news on Sunday.
Business Matters on Highland Radio is brought to you by Local Enterprise Office Donegal. If you have an idea to start or grow your business within Donegal, contact the Local Enterprise Office to find out more about the supports available for businesses. See localenterprise.ie/Donegal.
At this point in morning traffic, Sarah would be blaring the horn like it was going out of fashion. But today, she had deliciously healthy overnight oats from Aldi, sprinkled with fresh blueberries and nuts. So even though she's barely moved 20 feet in 20 minutes, she has achieved a zen-like state of contentment. But that could also be from the chocolate muffin she brought along as well. And we're moving. Good food, good mood from Aldi.
Business Matters in association with Local Enterprise Office Donegal. Local Enterprise Week from the 3rd to the 7th of March has over 20 events across Donegal for those starting, growing or scaling a business. To see the lineup of speakers or to book, see localenterprise.ie/Donegal.
Okay, so it's Thursday, but we've Chris Ashmore with us because we had to move stuff around and I'm all conflustered. Hi, Chris. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Greg.
Thank you so much for calling up. Yesterday, there was just so many people in studio and I forgot it was Wednesday and it's all my fault, but we appreciate you coming on. The podcast now is live. It went up live yesterday, so normally we're talking about it going live. It's there. It's available for you. We'll talk about that in a mo. But just want to talk about some business news and air passenger numbers at Derry Airport. What's the story?
Yes, now, a lot of people from Donegal use City of Derry Airport. Sometimes, I think it's around 40% of the passengers going through the airport. Figures out for the last quarter of last year, and the number of passengers going through City of Derry Airport was up 62%. Now, that's a very big increase. The reason is they have new routes, EasyJet flying to Edinburgh and Liverpool, so that has pushed up the figures considerably. Looking at the north, overall, Belfast International, Belfast City, both up, and they are above pre-COVID levels. Now, City of Derry is still slightly below the pre-COVID levels, but with these new routes this year, we're going to see the figures well above that. And maybe just to put it into perspective, Greg, City of Derry Airport, the last 3 months of the year, about 52,000 passengers. By contrast, Belfast City 580,000 and Belfast International 1.5 million. So it's 30 times busier, put it in stark terms. But the trend is upwards for City of Derry, and as you know, you've flown out of it. It's handy. And
but then we had Ryanair their announcement on Birmingham flights. It's constantly trying to keep it busy, justify its existence. There's a lot of taxpayers' money that goes into it. It's a tough old job. It's doing well. They're improving, but I would say it's constant to try and keep it relevant. No, that sounds terrible, but I think people will understand what I'm trying to say there. Right, okay. Renewable generation for February. You've got the stats.
Yes, the renewable generation on the island of Ireland was 53% of all our electricity came from green sources, so 48.3% was wind, hydro just 2.1%, and then a little bit of biomass and solar, but over 50% coming from renewables, and that figure is gradually trending up.
We need to get to 80% by 2030, and it needs to be consistent. It needs to be consistent. How much of that is used? Do we know? Because that's what's generated. I suppose they could look at the figure that's generated, then they could look at our daily usage and then come up with a figure of 53%. Or are we drawing 53% of our power from renewable generation, I wonder? Because sometimes this information can be hard to get your hands on. We do know we don't have storage, and our infrastructure, a lot of this electricity goes to waste. I wonder what the crack is there.
And this is why you've featured on the programme, and it's coming up now. We're talking about how do we store this electricity and battery storage. Interesting, there's a place down in Wicklow called Turlock Hill, which was built back, probably late 70s or 80s. And it's a pump storage facility. It's a great example of how you can make use of electricity when there's over supply in the network. They pump water up to an artificial lake, and then when there's need for increasing the network, the water comes back down, flows down, generates
Stone
goes
Age
through,
batteries.
and it works. But the thing is, it's a very expensive thing to build in the first place. Doesn't generate a huge amount of electricity, but we may see a few more of those in the future.
Who's to say? Donegal.ie is a website, and there's some opportunities on it, Chris.
Yeah, no, it's a website. A lot of people from outside of Donegal click onto it. It's promoting all things Donegal, and if you're interested in a job, well, they put up posts amongst those, for example, at the moment, software developers for CETA in Letterkenny, Sheephaven Credit Union looking for a CEO, various positions at ATU in Donegal. There's all sorts of jobs there. So that's often attracting people from outside of the county.
All right, okay. Just an update on the water burst at Clonmany. I said I'd bring it to you as soon as I got it. It's Clonmany and surrounding areas, Urus, etc. Ishk Aaron and their teams are on site. Work is going to conclude, they believe, at 3 p.m. on the 6th of March, that is today, and takes a couple of hours after that for water to run clear, just to give you an update. Right, okay, Spriega Sport.
Yes, based in Cardona. Now, this is what's called a social enterprise. The aim is to create profits that go back into the community. They have got a shop, and they recycle, repurpose things. There's also a community garden, and they have, well, there's Siri Clothing and Siri Home Stores, and they've done all sorts of great things down there. They've got recognised with an award at the All-Ireland Community and Council Awards held recently. They got the Best Business in the Community Award. So well done indeed to all there. We have featured them on the Business Matters programme in the past, and we'll do so again in the future.
Yeah, and if you ever worked in the United Kingdom, Britain and Northern Ireland, you can top up UK pension. We talked about this on this slot before, but we've also covered it on this show before as well. What's the situation and what is this deadline?
Yeah, now, if you have worked for, as you say, in the UK for more than a year and you paid your stamps and everything, there's a chance that basically you can put in more voluntary contributions. It'll help you get a pension at the end of it. There's a deadline of the 5th of April. You'll need to get advice on this. You can go online, do it yourself. It's actually, I've been on and looked at it. It's quite well done.
User-friendly.
Probably as well to get a bit of advice on it. So there's a lot of people here who may have worked in the north or the UK. Well worth checking out, because essentially what's happening is you're getting a chance to put a little bit of money into this pot for the long term, and you could get a pension down the road.
Local Enterprise Week continues.
Yeah, just to mention, of course, we're right in the middle of it. Some big events, not least tomorrow, the Made in Donegal Business Summit. That's in the Mount Errigal Hotel from noon. There's a panel discussion there. Believe is the theme of the week. Amongst the speakers, Edward McDade of the Football Special, Willie MacArthur, formerly Fruit of the Loon, Caroline Faulkner. On the sporting side, we've Joe Barr, Jim McGuinness, Patsy McGonigal. That's on from 12. A very good event there to round things off.
Right, so let's look at this week's podcast, which is available right now for you on our website in the Listen Back section. Chris, what's coming up?
Yeah, well, first of all, I spoke with Sean Quinn, Head of Sales here in Highland Radio. The last weekend, the Highland Radio Hospitality Awards were on, proved to be a great success. Considerable interest in the build-up, and then as the winners were announced. And as I spoke to Sean, we were making the point that this is a great way of showing how radio and social media interacting, how many people were just involved, and the numbers were quite staggering online between the nomination process, businesses sharing whether they were shortlisted or got an award. And, it was just sort of like a domino effect. And we have a clip here from Sean as he reflected on what was a truly great evening.
We introduced the public vote, and that blew everybody away. You've got about roughly 120 shortlisted businesses across the, bear in mind, with 15,500 nominations. So we broke that down. And so we went out there and we said, vote for your favourite, vote for the company that you want to see win. and we got over 72,000 votes, which was just insane.
And this is where radio really comes into its own with the backup of social media. I mean, no other organisation locally could do something like this.
You've hit the nail on the head, Chris, because between ourselves using our own air and our social media, but also the businesses, they went looking as well. And the ones that got the most votes are the ones that went and asked and said and shared and looked for, vote for us if you like what we do. And if I was to put a figure on it, I would have said if we got 20,000 votes, it would have been a success. To get over 72,000 was just absolutely phenomenal. And the smallest, it doesn't matter if you're a one-man band or you're a big hotel, there was thousands and thousands and thousands coming on a daily basis. So we were delighted we did it. And we're delighted that actually added value to the whole awards and the results, because I think the general public should be involved in the process. So that's a success, and we'll 1,000,000% keep it for next year.
Yeah, in fact, it's already booked for next year, and it's in the same venue as well. And there's also, we have the Customer Services Award in October as well. So we'll tell you more about that as we get closer to it. Your second guest on the show this week, Chris?
Yes, Greg. Many people may not be familiar with the Agri-food regulator, only established last year, and it's all about promoting fairness and transparency in that whole agri-food sector. So Melanie Hall, who's head of Unfair Trading Practices Compliance and Enforcement, quite a title, she explained what it's really about and how it impacts on businesses in Donegal.
The Agri-food regulator is an independent state body. We were set up just over a year ago. Our functions are to promote fairness and transparency in the agri-food supply chain. What that means is, and the overall goal is that we have a food supply chain that is sustainable and allows everybody along that supply chain to make a living. The list of the products that the agri-food regulator is concerned with is extensive. An agri-food product are live animals, so any live animal, live trees and other plants, cut flowers, ornamental foliage, as well as cereals and milling industry products. And then the food products end covers another wide range there. We have our fruit and veg, the fresh meat, dairy produce, bread and cakes, alcoholic drinks as well as non-alcoholic drinks. And then we also have processed products, your chocolate or your sauces or your dairy spreads and yogurt and all of that as well.
Okay, much more from Sean and, of course, from Melanie on the podcast, which is also broadcast on Sunday, Chris.
That's right, after the 6 o'clock news on Sunday. And if you want to contact the programme, best way is to email me at businessmatters@highlandradio.com.
Thanks, Chris. See you next week.
Thank you.
The county's #1 talk show, The 9 till Noon Show on Highland Radio.
The 9 till Noon Show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Simplify your debts with a debt consolidation loan from Letterkenny Credit Union. Call us on 074 910 2126 or apply online via our app or in office today.
Celebrating 50 years, McDade's Bathroom Plumbing Tiles in Buncrana continues to be Donegal's go-to destination for stunning bathroom makeovers. With a vast selection of premium tiles and bathroom products, our showroom is your ultimate one-stop shop for crafting the perfect space. We've earned our reputation through expert advice, unbeatable prices and a dedication to customer satisfaction. Visit our showroom in Cockhill and Buncrana and see why we've been Donegal's top choice for 50 years and counting. Call us at 07493 63050.
Enhanced TFI Local Link Route 966 and Falcarra to Anclohanlia now operates 4 daily return services Monday to Saturday and 3 daily return services on Sunday. The route provides peak time and evening services and improved connectivity to ferry services, Airford Dunanal and regional bus services. We're Transport for Ireland, we're transport for you. See locallinkdsl.ie. Brought to you as part of the Connecting Ireland Rural Mobility Plan.
Hoka, the brand that has changed running shoes at Brian McCormick Sports. The ultra-cushioned game changer, Bondi 9, will give you a soft and bouncy transition from heel to toe. Enjoy the increased stack height with a new premium midsole. Look the part, play the part. In-store and online. Click on bmcsports.ie.
Are you on the hunt for a reliable car that offers exceptional value for money? At iMotors, we have a huge range of 2024 nearly new Nissan models available. Whether it's petrol, hybrid or fully electric, Nissan has a 2024 model that suits your lifestyle. All our nearly new Nissans come with low mileage and are prepared by our expert team. Visit us today at imotors.ie to find out more.
iMotors, fearless generation.
Highland Radio Time Checks brought to you by EirGrid, the operator and developer of Ireland's electricity grid. EirGrid, powering up communities, powering up Ireland. The time is...
The time's 21 minutes past 11. Welcome back to the show, as you would know. All this week in association with the Donegal Sports Partnership as part of Women in Sports Week 2025. We're looking at different roles women play in sport. And also this week, there are a number of events which are running tomorrow. As part of and under the auspices of the Donegal Sports Partnership. You have a sunrise dip at Rathmullen Pier at 7 a.m. And also on Saturday, yoga and dip at Culdaff Beach at 7:30 in the morning. There's an open water dip in Thruppeny Pool, Bundoran, 7:45 on Saturday. And you can go and try fishing as well at the Mongorry Trout Fishery from noon and on Sunday too. You can try your hand at horse riding. Sessions at 11, 12, 1 and 2 p.m. at Drumdoy Stables. More information and to book your spot, go to Donegal Sports Partnership website or socials and you can click through to Eventbrite there. Right, now in studio with me I have Audrey McGee, who is a Donegal Volunteer of the Year. In fact, is the Donegal Volunteer of the Year, and she's a volunteer coordinator in Raphoe Badminton Club. Good morning to you. Thank you very much for joining us, Audrey.
Good morning, Greg.
How are you keeping?
I'm keeping very well, thanks.
Very, very good. You're not new to this involvement with badminton in Raphoe, are you?
No, I've been there quite a few years.
Why is it such a spawn ground for amazing talent? Is it about the infrastructure and the commitment of the likes of yourselves to bring out the best of our local people?
Yeah, the more they practice, the better for the children. And if they're in every week, they get better and better, and it's just a dedication.
Very good. And why did you get involved in this anyway?
My husband, you see, played badminton.
Okay.
And then as the children came along, they would have went with him to badminton, and I would have been going with them and collecting them, and they've done very well.
And you would have also had a particular interest in giving opportunities to younger people, wouldn't you?
Yeah, but there was open then for their friends and the children of the community, and they all practiced together, and it was like a badminton family. They all got together and enjoyed.
And am I right in saying that you were one of the people that established the junior club, like put a organised footing on all of that?
I helped out with them. I would meet them all coming into the club and welcome them there. And when the new one started, I always seen that they had friends when they got there.
So, I mean, we've been talking recently this week to some people that are involved in women that are involved in sport, or some that have been doing it for quite some time, right? But I mean, were leadership roles in sport for women, we can go back 4 decades with you. Was it unusual, or were women more involved then and we saw a regression and now coming back? Or how have things changed over the years? And if you could just move a little bit closer for me, I would appreciate it. How have things changed over the years?
Well, as they were in the club, then we'd like to get them to come back then to help. So we have seen, like my own 2 daughters are now helping in the club as coaches. And it just developed from there. How
important do you think involvement in sport, be it a racket sport, running, football, field sport, whatever it is, darts for crying out loud, how important do you think it is to individuals? And I suppose if a family can do it together, to do it that way?
Oh, sport's very important for young people growing up. They have friends, and they always make friends when they go to tournaments. I mean, they get on well together.
Brilliant. And Miriam's here with us as well, your daughter, who wasn't supposed to speak, but that's not how it works around here, Miriam. You don't come into this room and not say something. Just talk a little bit about your mum, I suppose, and her influence on you, because, there's a lot of nature and then there's a lot of nurture, right? Talk to me a little bit about your mum and her influence in a sporting or volunteering way for you.
Yeah, both mum and dad have been inspirational in our life. Like, they set up the juvenile club in the club in Raphoe and grew that from a handful of kids to now there's over 120 playing there through their role models, like I've taken on the junior club now. I'm the coach there alongside a large team of people working in it. And we've 120 kids playing at the moment, which is just fantastic to see. But Audrey really plays a key role in inspiring the next generation of volunteers. Anybody that comes in, she'll guide them through what to do and how to do it, so that then the next year they're ready to step up, and then she's there in the background keeping us all right.
Yeah. And Audrey, you know, sometimes I think we're born with skill in certain ways, and then, you know, we can harness that skill and bring it forward. And some would say that it's all about practice. I think you're a big... You think practice is incredibly important.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Right, but say in the likes of, you know, Chloe and Sam, right?
Yes.
How much that was raw skill? Because I always find this fascinating. Like how many Chloes or Sams or Mark Englishes are out there, but we don't get them, and we don't get them training, and we don't drive a certain way of thinking into them. Do you know what I mean? Or
yeah, well, my husband saw that they had the skill for playing the badminton, and he sort of developed them on from that and took them to tournaments, you know, when they were quite young, and they seemed to do well in the tournaments and started winning, and all was going great.
Because it's about the game face as well too, isn't it? It's about your attitude to winning and competing as well.
Yes, uh-huh.
They're your brother and sister, Miriam.
Yeah.
Have I overlooked your fantastic sporting achievement? I don't have it in my notes here.
No, I would have played at county and interprovincial level, played for Ulster. I love the grassroots side of it, the club level, seeing the kids playing. Sport is so important for kids, young girls, young boys, to learn life lessons, to process the big emotions, the highs and the lows. And that's where Audrey has been a great role model for us all in volunteering and leaving a legacy in the club.
It is remarkable what that club has achieved. And Miriam, what's your view on, you know, how you can become Olympic level? Is it that you are born with something, or born into something, or...
There's a certain amount of talent, yes, that needs to be there, but it's a mental discipline as well of being dedicated, as Audrey keeps saying, turning up from practice, being dedicated, having the right attitude, respecting your coach, respecting your club, and turning up every week and being part of that, being willing to put in that extra effort.
Audrey, you're Donegal Person of the Year. It's a fantastic honour. Where does it rank in sort of your achievements as a volunteer and being involved with organisations and associations?
It was just unbelievable when I got the phone call. I thought they were looking for some of the family, and he says, "No, it's you. You've got Donegal Person of the Volunteer of the Year," and it was lovely. And we were down in Dublin.
And what a beautiful way it's presented as well, or presented. Anyway, it looks absolutely. I'd take the box, let alone what's inside it. It looks absolutely fantastic. And then as a parent watching on, you know, and I think our children can achieve. It can be qualifying for the medal, but you can be equally proud of someone like Miriam, for instance, and her dedication and commitment to volunteering. So there's equal levels of pride, right? But in watching your children compete, be it at county level or beyond, were you able to enjoy that and have pride in that, or was it as Alex Ferguson? Well, I won't quote Alex Ferguson in front of ladies, but you know, can you enjoy those experiences, or is it too nerve-wracking?
Oh no, I loved watching them because I knew they would always give their best, and when they achieved, it was even an extra special.
And it's multi-generational now, isn't it, in your family in terms of competition?
And grandchildren, are all coming on.
We've got great volunteers, right? But everyone seems so blooming busy nowadays, don't they, in their own lives, and quite rightly so. There's an awful lot going on. Have you noticed any change in relation to that, Audrey? And I'll ask Miriam as well, but I'll start with you in terms of, you know, getting people to come in and give of their time.
Well, if you involve the younger ones coming on, then they eventually come and help you. Like I have my granddaughter now would help me out if I have a busy day at the club, and I know that she will.
I'm finding struggle with all these timelines because Miriam's your daughter, she looks about 12, and then you're sitting here talking about granddaughters that are playing. I can't get my head around it all, but anyway, whatever you're doing it right, anyway, because you all look fantastic.
It's all family, yes, and then their friends are all there too, so that encourages them.
Of course. Miriam, from your perspective, you know, often we talk about volunteering and having the spare time. I'd imagine with you it's about making the time as well, and sometimes we kind of maybe think we're busier than we are, and there's always time you can make. Is that how it is for you in your life?
It certainly is. It's definitely a juggling act, balancing everything, and that's why we're lucky to have so many volunteers, working in FO. At the minute, we're running our tournament, and there's 30 events in that, so that's over a span of 3 weeks. We've 13 volunteers working every night there. It's led by Liam McGee, our secretary, and Audrey coordinates it every night. So we're just extremely lucky to have a very good team. But it is a challenge we're coming up against as everybody's managing their work, their kids, and everything. So volunteering is getting more and more difficult for people, and to recruit volunteers, I think. But Audrey has been a great inspiration to the club, and that's what she's saying. Like last year, Sam would have sat beside you in an event. Sam McKnight's been one of our excellent volunteers, and now he's there running the events this year.
There you go, yeah.
So she's inspiring the next generation.
And also, do you know what's particularly lovely? That you've received this honour while you're happy and you're healthy and hearty. Isn't it? That's nice, isn't it, from your perspective, Miriam, as well? You know that you can continue your work, but recognised for what you've done up until now, which I think is fantastic and really, really well deserved.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, okay. Well, listen, congratulations. It is a fantastic honour. We're going to get a picture of Audrey and her wonderful award. Volunteer. She's a volunteer coordinator in Revo Badminton Club, but has been honoured as Donegal Volunteer of the Year. Anything you want to add, Audrey, or anything, any advice you can impart on us? Because, you've been at the helm of so much success, really, and had such a strong influence on it. Is there any words of advice?
Oh, just our club's outgrown the hall. We have only one court in the hall.
Make it sound so easy. Rather than reflecting, you talk about we need to do more.
we need more courts.
Yeah. Excellent. I'm a victim of success almost, Miriam. It's fantastic,
100%.
isn't it?
The club has really outgrown the facilities we have. We're renting 3 different multi-court halls at the moment.
Wowzers.
So
why is that? Is it because people see success and they think it's achievable and it's it's an accessible sport, isn't it? I mean, some sports, like if you want to play golf, right, you might have to go and spend 800 quid on a set of golfs and walk around a field all day. I'm not saying you can't get high level equipment in badminton, but it's the accessibility of it, isn't it?
It's accessibility of it and the scene. Like, we are very proud to say we're the only club in the country has 2 Olympians come out of it.
Yeah.
So we call it like the Chloe, Sam, Josh effect, or a Rachel effect.
Well, that's it.
They can't see, they can't be. So they're seeing Olympians being produced out of a club.
And this is why it's so important to talk to people like yourself, Miriam, and particularly you, Audrey, because that's on the court, right? Mm-hmm. And we've seen how they can inspire people to take up the racket, but also in terms of what you can contribute behind the scenes and in front of the scenes as well, Audrey. Hopefully that's an inspiration between yourself and the likes of Miriam as well, to inspire other people to make that time.
Yeah,
I'm far busier than I am. Yeah, I really, really do. If you spoke to me now, you'd swear I didn't have a minute in the day.
Can we get you signed up then?
Oh, it's too far to refer. I'm flat out, Miriam. I'll do my bit here. I'll plug it here. Is that all right? That's my volunteer. No, but seriously, if the truth be told, there is probably time I could do something else. All right, maybe you're inspiring me, Audrey.
Oh, good.
All right, listen, thanks so much. Congratulations.
Thank
what
you.
A wonderful honour for you, but the club
definitely.
as well, actually.
Oh, yes.
And your family, your grandchildren, and Miriam and Sam and Chloe and all of them. We can't mention them all. It's been wonderful speaking to you. Thanks so much for calling down to us.
Thank you.
It's really
very
great
much
to have
for
you
having
on.
me.
Miriam, I know you didn't anticipate speaking, but look at, I knew you did well within you, as they say. So thank you, Miriam, and clearly anyone watching will see you looking on at your mum when she's speaking, and the love in her eyes, Audrey.
Very proud.
She's very, very, very proud, as we all are. Thanks so much, Audrey. That's Audrey McGee, and we also had a chat with Miriam McGee, isn't it, McGee?
Yeah.
Okay, and that was all part of us recognising Women in Sports Week 2025. Tomorrow, actually, as we head into International Women's Day, there's a strong female a sense to the programme as well, and we'll also, I think, be talking to somebody else through the Donegal Sports Partnership as well. But we'll take a quick break and we'll be back very shortly.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook and at highlandradio.com. The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union. Digital loans now available. Apply online or via our app today and get your loan transferred directly to your current account.
Shop Homeland's March Mega Deals. Dulux Soft Sheen or Vinyl Matte, Pure Brilliant White 10 litre, buy 2 for €75. Foxfield Gold ton bag of decorative stone, now $79.99, save €20. Offers end March 23rd. Visit your local Homeland or homeland.ie. Nationwide delivery available.
Heading off on holiday? Don't forget to park to relax. Travelling for business? Well, then just park to work. Flying for a city break? Simply park to explore. No matter where you're going, you'll find safe, secure shuttle parking just 6 minutes from the airport at Dublin's newest airport car park, Park 2 Travel. Visit park2travel.ie now to book your space from March 10th and use the code PARK2TRAVEL now to get 15% off. Park2travel.ie. For when you need to park to, well, travel. Terms and conditions apply.
Evolve Clothing Letterkenny Retail Park, stocking Ralph Lauren, Fred Perry and much more. Refresh your wardrobe with the best in global fashion. Visit Evolve Clothing today and elevate your style game.
They say time equals money, so spend your money where you spend your time. No matter what your preference is, Cooney's Home Interiors has something to suit every taste and budget. With our extensive range of home furnishing to fit every room and style, from mattresses and beds to rugs, mirrors and suites of furniture. Visit us in-store today and see for yourself what Cooney's have to offer and let us help you make your dream home a reality. Cooney's Home Interiors, Letterkenny Retail Park. Huge range, great prices.
Discover Centra Simple Savers, your go-to for great everyday value. Like Kit Kat 2 Finger Bars 9-pack, $1.50. Lions Tea Bags 80-pack, €2. And selected Monster Energy Drinks 4-can packs, $3.50 each plus deposit. Enjoy easy, simple prices weekly on your favourite products. Centra. Live every day.
Don't miss the Patrick Feeney Country Music Weekend at the Abbey Hotel, Donegal Town this Friday, Saturday and Sunday, featuring Jimmy Buckley, Conor O'Donnell, Brendan German, Trevor Moyles and David James. 3 nights of top-class country music at the Patrick Feeney Country Music Weekend this Friday, Saturday and Sunday at the Abbey Hotel, Donegal Town.
Now, you're very welcome back to the 9 till noon show. What a lovely treat to meet Audrey. What a wonderful lady she is. And a proper lady as well. Not that there's different variants of ladies. You know exactly what I'm saying, don't you? What a beautiful, gentle soul. And lovely to get to chat to Miriam as well. And allowing her to speak so warmly of her mum there. Right, so we were talking about defibs not so long ago. And someone was interested about getting training. Now, rather than me say it, I'll get the info off someone very much in the know. Rosie Shovlin from Rathmullen, and that's Rathmullen Defib and CPR training, which is happening tonight. Hi, Rosie.
Hello, Greg. How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. So, I mean, it's really good to get Defib training, CPR training, but we don't want to discourage people who don't have the training from using the likes of these machines. So, whilst training is great and can reassure people, the Defib is designed, isn't it, to be very user-friendly with verbal instructions and that type of thing?
Absolutely. I've had a lot of people, because of what we've done here in Rathmullen, say to me, I could never do CPR. And there are some people who maybe never will be able to do it, but anybody from about age 6 up could use a defib. It is so self-explanatory. And what the training does is takes the fear away from those big, scary yellow boxes.
And also from CPR, because the stats we were reading out previously, Rosie, was the majority of the time you might be called on to do CPR. It's on a family member. I've been in this situation, and I know you were in this situation back around about Christmas time, in fact, in 2022, Rosie. Can you talk to me as much as you're comfortable in talking to me about that experience?
So just the stat that I always start with, 80% of out-of-hospital cardiac arrests will happen in the home. So if you know where your nearest defib is from your home, 80% of the time, that's where you're going to be. But on Christmas Eve 2022, my whole family were all together, about 10 adults, 6 kids. It was mayhem, your typical wrapping paper mayhem. And out of nowhere, my mum dropped to the ground. We rang 999 and they asked, does she have a pulse? Is she breathing? We said no. And they said, start CPR right now. And of all of us in the room, only one knew how to do CPR, my twin brother, James. Hi, James. And he got down on his hands and knees and did CPR all by himself for 20 full minutes. And he had learned how to do it 3 years previous in his old job, who had hosted a training session. And so I just couldn't shout out, if you can't make it at Rye at 6 p.m. this evening, businesses that are listening, please host these sessions.
Mm-hmm.
If it wasn't for that, my mum probably wouldn't be with us today.
And thankfully she is, Rosie. And I'm not a medical professional. I think that's quite obvious. But CPR is really quite simple, isn't it? In that it is working the heart to ensure that blood is circulating around the body. So in an instance whereby it might take an ambulance some time to come or a defib to get on site, I'm presuming it keeps the brain oxygenated or with blood flowing through. Like, it's really that simple in that time, isn't it? It's just to keep the organ working and the blood flowing until such time as the defib is applied or the ambulance crews arrive or what have you.
The CPR will keep the blood pumping up to your brain, and the trainer, Paul Stevenson from Vital Ops, Donegal, he describes it as it keeps the brain nice and juicy.
Yeah.
But
simple.
you have a 10-minute window, and for each of those 10 minutes, your chances of survival go down by 1, and you only have a 10% survival at best. Anyway, so the reason my mum's still alive is because CPR was administered straight away and maintained for that long.
So then, whilst that was happening, while your twin was working on your mum, which is very distressful, actually. I don't know how he dealt with it, but it's not something you get over straight away. People were outsourcing a defib, and it got a little bit crazy there, didn't it?
Yeah, I ran out and rang the phone book. So I first of all rang for some local nurses. So again, shout out to Margaret Bell and Sonia Black, who came that night to help with some of the CPR. But I also knew we needed defib, but I did not know where they were. And so I frantically just rang, crying out. And as it turned out, we were quite lucky because people went for 2 different defibs. And one of them wasn't there when they went to go and get it. The other one was there at the White Strand Football Club, but the guy, a local neighbour who was bringing it to our home, actually crashed his car with the nerves of the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
And my little brother went down the road, met him on the road, and he threw it out the window and said, "Just take the defib, I'm okay." But this was 35 minutes of chaos. Is the only word I could describe.
How do you reflect on that, Rosie, as a family? Is it an anecdote that you can chuckle at, or was it so stressful? The chaos that ensued to get the defib to your mum.
Yeah.
How do you reflect on it?
I mean, at the time, it honestly was the worst time of your life. Jerry Lane actually came a few minutes before the ambulance arrived, and he said, "You're probably going to say goodbye to your mum," so it was that bleak, it was that dark, but because she lived, we do get to laugh about it, and we are so grateful, and it's because she lived why I had to set up the Defib Minders Club, and I'm in the process of trying to set up the Rathmullen Community First Responders, but we've just turned something positive into more and more positive, and we're a really close family, so we're lucky to have each other to laugh about it together, if you know what I mean. We got through it together.
It's great. It's just like when I had to perform CPR on my dad. Unfortunately, he did pass away, but he was very healthy right up until the end of his life. I'd love him to still be here, but he had a really long, healthy life, and I've got such amazing memories, and I'm so lucky to have a no regrets relationship, if you know what I mean. So it's very comforting. Yeah. But there was a lot going on that night, and it is actually almost funny because there was an ambulance came for him, and then Aisling was expectant at the time, and then an ambulance had to come from her. And I was running, the two houses are beside each other. I was running between them. Then an ambulance got stuck in the driveway. The ramp got stuck. It was like something out of a comedy. And to be honest with you, I know my dad would find it hilarious, and maybe he is aware of what happened. But it's just funny how these situations can throw up amazing other situations. And Thankfully, Hudson is here now, but on that night, we didn't know he was going to be, and it's just one of those things.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm delighted that your mum's here, and I'm delighted that she gets to see the fantastic efforts, Rosie, you and others have done in terms of fundraising, the WhatsApp group, the other families that you are helping in this process as well, Rosie, and lives inevitably that are being saved. And it's lovely that your mum gets to see it. Yeah.
I can't wait for the day that someone comes up to me and says, that person got saved because of the course that you had arranged. Like, that's what keeps driving me. But what we have here in the town of Rathmullen, we've raised €25,000, both some public, some private fundraising. We've spent over probably 20 of that. And we've bought new defibs for the area. There's 10 in Rathmullen now. And we are pumping the training.
That is amazing.
Yeah, we're pumping the training into the schools. So every 5th and 6th class student will do a mini medics course before they leave national
So
schools.
CPR and Defib usage, which is fantastic.
46 kids, and after tonight, I am hoping to exceed 150 adults. But anybody who wants to come, Rye Community Centre at 6 p.m. this evening, hosted by an amazing guy, Paul Stevenson from Ramelton, Vital Ops, Donegal, and 4 businesses have offered €50 vouchers. So you'll come for free, and you might even win something.
Isn't it terrible? We have to put vouchers on to get people to go and learn life-saving techniques. No, I'm only joking. It's you know what? It's just if it gets that extra 1 or 2 people out the door, isn't that what it's all about? And as you say, don't be discouraged in doing CPR, because in fairness, the 999 crew are quite good in telling you what to do, but it's great if you have that prior knowledge. So get to the course tonight or what have you. And also in terms of defib training, it takes away a little bit of the fear and panic, but you can still use a defib without training. But Rosie, let's find out where our nearest defib is. Isn't that an important thing as well? And stick that with your air code on the fridge or wherever you want to stick it.
We have 158 people in the town here of Rathmullen that check every single defib that we have once a week. And they text into the defib groups to say the defib at the toilets at Rathmullen Beach, it's there and it's working, and the parts that are attached have not expired. It's a 5-minute check, but everybody should know where their nearest defib is to their home, and also know who's checking, how is it being maintained. You know, I really did genuinely grab the bull by the horns and take the accountability and responsibility for this. But now we all do it. I do very little now other than man some WhatsApp groups, which when it's running itself, it's fantastic.
Okay. Your mum's name, Rosie?
And my mum's name is Una. She's in Glasgow. She'll have no clue about this interview, and she probably will die.
Well, we'll leave it then. So if she's in Glasgow, we have a lot of people listening in Glasgow. She could be watching us on Facebook. We just don't know. Anyway, Rosie, I'm only messing. I'm delighted that this was able to be done off the back of your mum still being here. I think that's a lovely element to this as well. You know what I mean? Because quite often it's not the way. So that's great, and I'm delighted. And fair play to your twin and everybody else who got involved on that night. And it just shows that CPR was the difference between your mother and it's not just actually her recovery, it's the nature of recovery as well, to keep that blood. What did you say? To keep the brain nice and juicy?
That's what it was really important. Juicy.
All right, Rosie, love to all, even your mum who doesn't listen, but that's fine. Good luck tonight.
It's not that she doesn't listen, she's just not here.
My feelings are hurt, and you can't fix it now. The Rye Community Centre tonight at 6 p.m. And that's where you get along to, hopefully. And after tonight, 150 people, these are just the adults, will have learned how to use a defib by the time tonight's course is done. And that ongoing work with the 5th and 6th students locally as well. Fantastic stuff, Rosie. Well done. Thank you so much for your time today, and love to all. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye, Rosie.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, with monster loans available up to €60,000 for all occasions. Visit letterkennycu.ie.
I can't stop myself, Doctor. I'm just a weak man. But it feels so good. It's so easy and quick. Ever since I discovered Chadwick's online, it's been a game changer. Chadwick's do everything. I started ordering a few tools to fix a few jobs around the house, but that wasn't enough. I ordered more from Chadwick's. The jobs got bigger, the tools got stronger. My kitchen's like a workshop and I'm halfway through and not the conversion. I need help, doctor. Because it's a two-man job. Will you give us a hand? Shop online now at chadwicks.ie. Click, search, done.
Don't miss the Hillary's up to half price sale. That's up to half price on an amazing range of blinds, curtains and shutters. And right now, get €50 off your electric blind order. An easy and convenient way to control your blinds with the touch of a button. But be quick, these incredible savings must end 10th of March. Don't miss out. Transform your home for less. Visit hillarys.ie to book your free in-home appointment today. Hurry! Hillary's up to half price sale ends 10th of March. Conditions apply.
Shannon Airport has officially been voted Ireland's favourite airport.
Which was great to hear. We've always thought we had handy parking, short queues, great people and smooth security. It's just nice to know everyone agrees. Officially Ireland's favourite airport. Shannon Airport, making it easy.
Want a new car? Think Kia. Call Heron Auto Donegal Town on 074 9722 555. We're excited to offer a fantastic selection of self-charge and plug-in hybrid cars, along with petrol and electric cars. With finance rates starting from an incredible 0% APR and a 7-year warranty, you can drive away today with peace of mind. Call Heron Auto to find your perfect vehicle and experience our commitment to excellence. Drive with confidence. Drive with Heron Auto Donegal Town.
Highland Radio weather updates with McElhenney's. Discover trending new styles each week in fashion, footwear, accessories, homeware and more. Visit us to explore the latest arrivals in store or shop online at mcelhenneys.com today.
So, largely dry for much of the afternoon. Rain will move in from the west later, though, into the afternoon and evening. It's going to be a breezy day with moderate to fresh southerly winds and highest temperatures of 11 to 13 degrees. We were talking a little earlier on about a burst pipe in Clonmany causing disruption there. They hope to have it fixed by 6. Not such a positive timeline as it relates to another burst. Ewan, good morning to you.
Hello, Greg.
What's the situation in Glencar?
I'll tell you, I've been watching it now and I've mentioned to people about it. It's gone on now 7 weeks, would you believe it, it's running down the road.
Right.
It's not like that the council don't see it because they're going over the top of it every day. It's up just above the hospital gates there. Do you know as you turn up to go up the long lane?
Yes, I do, yeah.
Well, just above that, about 20 feet maybe above that, just at a light post, there's a leak there now and it's there for now at least 7 weeks anyway.
Wow, and is it running water, Ewan? It's still running. It is actually running water, yeah?
It's actually running down the road for the last 7 weeks.
And the council are aware of it. Ishka Éireann, sorry, it's really their responsibility now, I think. Ishka Éireann are aware of it.
I was just talking to a few fellows just that were in the council, you know, but they said, well, it should be shorted. It'll be probably up to Ishka Éireann, maybe, I don't know. But
yeah.
It's just that I thought I would highlight it because, I mean, I seen last year whether we had a week or two of dry weather and there were gentlemen cutting water off, but Jesus, we had a week or two of dry weather, and now that we have plenty of rain going, they're just letting it not bother and they're diving over the top of it.
Okay, it is crazy how quickly the warnings come in. But I mean, how can we complain of water shortages when we've got a burst pipe in Letterkenny and the water running down Long Lane or Glencar?
They're just above the entrance to the Long Lane. You see it there driving down because the road is soaking from where it's coming out.
Might go and have a look at that. Have a look at that on the way home. All right, well, we'll get on to Ishka Éireann. I presume someone's reported to Ishka Éireann that surely after 6 or 7 weeks.
I don't know, but there's nothing been done about it anyway. 7 weeks now, so it's running 7 weeks. I wouldn't like to be paying a meter if it was running 7 weeks and not non-stop.
We don't mention
meters.
meters.
Just before you go there, I heard you talking about the A&E yesterday.
Yes, Ewan.
I was thinking... you see, a lot of people are going to A&E where they're sent up to a doctor to go to get an X-ray done.
Yes.
Well, if the doctor sends them up for an X-ray, I don't see why you'd sit for hours on A&E for them to look at you first to tell you that that's where you have to go, and the doctor's already said that from the beginning.
So you believe that...
I was sent up one time to go up for an X-ray, and I was told I had to go through an A&E first.
All right, so you believe
And
you
it's
should
up
go
for 3 or
straight into
4 hours.
you believe you should go. You've already been triaged effectively. You believe you should go straight as soon as possible.
Oh, well,
to,
I think
to,
if the
for the
doctor
X-ray.
says you need to go up for an X-ray, I mean, I don't see why you have to go through A&E then for them to tell you the same thing, but wait maybe a half a day to get up to do it.
Yeah, all right, okay, fair enough. Listen,
That would ease a lot of pressure on A&E because there are people sitting there for wee silly things that doesn't need to be done.
But isn't that why you'd need a
they
small?
go
If you had a
pick up-
small injuries clinic, you know, when someone twists their knee or ankle or something
Yeah.
like that. There, if we had a small injuries clinic, which are being established elsewhere, that would take an awful lot of those people that sit on those chairs for 9, 12 hours. And I can say that because I've done it twice with twisted ankles. I've sat up there for 12 hours. That would be a small injury clinic. That's where we used to go to the Donegal Hospice in Donegal Hospice, sorry. The hospital in Donegal Town, Union. You could go there, you could get an X-ray there, you could get a bandage on, you could get stitched. And that's going back 35 years. You know, so you wouldn't go to Letterkenny unless it was much more serious. But anyway, we don't seem to do that anymore.
But you see, the thing about it too, another thing I see too, Greg, is that do you see if you have money that you can pay for these things?
Well, it's getting more
They'll
and
take
more
you
like
right
that
away.
now. Yeah, well, it is. Now, listen, I don't begrudge people early access to a GP's or to a minor injuries clinic.
But I mean, at the end of the day, you know, a lot of it's down to money, like, you know.
Well,
if
we
you have
are-
plenty of money, they'll look up at you.
We are seeing a two-tier sort of system emerge in GP and emergency care. There's no doubt about that. Ewan, stay safe. Keep an eye on that water flow for us, will you? I want an update.
I will. Yeah, I'll be
be
going up past it now in about 10 minutes.
Cheers, Ewan. Good man. Take it easy. Right, we are in the Mount Errigal tomorrow, Caroline, aren't we? And why are we there? We are there to mark Donegal Enterprise Week, and we've got loads of guests joining us in studio. If you're listening on the radio, it's going to sound and look the same if you choose to watch it. It's an outside broadcast, but we keep the thrust of the show the same. We just be able to talk about why we're there, and we'll have loads of guests as well. So we are out and about, but we have our Friday panel, and we have That's Entertainment, and we've got loads of great guests as well. So tune in. If you are down around the Mount Errigal, say hello. We love to say hello to you as well. But that's where we leave it from their station today.